you can answer them. There is a difference between living a life and leading a life. So, how far your knowledge you have gained, how far you have labored, there will be automatically evident when questions are thrown at you. So try to do well, and we three of us are over here to help you out in the three different areas based on which this workshop has been arranged. And thank you for giving the opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, for your enlightening advice to our researchers. Yes, every institutions, the universities are premier institutions, and they are known for research. And as you said very nicely, they are also known for PGDT. And the research must be passion for every researcher, every teacher. And your guidance will definitely help our researchers, or every one of us who are sitting here. The kind of guidance you provided today will definitely help us to fulfill our goal. So now, I request our Honorable Vice Chancellor Ma'am to give the presidential address.
A very good morning to one and all present here. Esteemed Chief Guest, Professor Subha Roy, Head of Biological Anthropological Unit, ISI, Kolkata. Esteemed Guest of Honor, Professor Rajiv Padhi, Deputy Registrar, Sambalpur University, Professor and Head of Department of Physics, Sambalpur University. Guest of Honor, Professor Manoranjan Mishra, Professor and Head, Department of Geography, FM University, Baleshwar. Registrar and Deputy Registrar and COA in absence here. Director, Research and Development Cell, MMU, Dr. Mahana. The convener of this workshop. The co-conveners, Dr. Kailash Chandra Das and Dr. Chitrasen Bhue, and I can see Dr. Kumar Chandra Naik, all the faculties, the DSW, Dr. Madhurika Sahu, Director Academics, Dr. Vrinder Suna, and I can see all the faculties of MMU and all the research scholars, all the students of different departments, and all those who have joined with us through Google Meet link. On behalf of Ma Manikeshwari University, I welcome everyone to this workshop on academic writing and publishing organized by the Research and Development Cell of Ma Manikeshwari University. I very well understand the value of time today. We are running 30 minutes late. I will not take much time, just take 2 minutes. Being a director IPSC of MMU, it's always in my mind that how to increase the academic and research excellence of MMU, because every now and then we need a, we are always asked for what much you have done, what you have done, how much seminars you have done, how much publications you have done, and all these things. And it was in my mind to organize one workshop for our research scholars and our faculties on academic right, and for our research scholars particularly on thesis writing. Since 3 months I was telling to Kailash sir, to Jaidev sir, to Jannarani madam, to Madhulika madam, and because of the ongoing examinations, semester examinations and UG1 examinations as for NEP, and then examination of higher secondary school, the only one university where we have +2 is with us. We could not do anything till March 27th, and before just 10 days I requested Director Research, Dr. Mahana sir, you have to do a workshop at any cost within this month, and sir agreed happily and moved on with enthusiasm with Dr. Chitrasen Bhue and Dr. Kailash Chandra Das. All the three planned everything, designed anything. So thank you so much for the initiative of our convener and co-conveners. I must thank a warm welcome and a sense of gratitude to all the resource persons. With a single call, Professor Subha Roy agreed to come over from Calcutta to here. He travelled almost 10-12 hours yesterday. He has given 3 days of his very valuable days to us. Thank you so much, sir. On behalf of the university I'm thankful to you. I'm thankful to Professor Manoranjan Misra, who is here since yesterday. He also delivered a lecture yesterday, 2 lectures yesterday, and was also present with us in the annual function of the hostel. Sir also travelled from Baleshwar, a long distance from here. And he has spared around 3 days, more than 3 days for us. Thank you so much. We have with us Professor Rajiv Padhi. He also happily agreed, yes ma'am, I'll definitely go. So thank you so much Professor Padhi for traveling all the way from Sambalpur from morning 5 p.m. and thank you so much all the resource persons. And for my research scholars, I want to say one thing. You will not get this kind of orientation, you will not get this kind of training programs, the benefit or the opportunity of such programs in your life. The kind of orientation I have got from my supervisor, from my PhD supervisor, Professor Deepak Kumar Behera, when I was a PhD scholar, and at that point of time, Professor Subharao was coming to our department, and he was giving us all sorts of this kind of opportunities. I must thank Professor Atanupati, who is the Vice Chancellor, former Vice Chancellor of GM University, and Professor Misra was also there. We were working together. The kind of initiative he was taking to inculcate the research culture, the research enthusiasm, the spirit of research, the spirit to excel in research and academics, that kind of environment I want to create in this new upgraded university, in this small university. One thing always tinkles in my mind, one thing always knocks in my mind. Professor Behera and Professor Pati both of us was telling that publish or perish. So we will not perish in Kalahandi University, we will not perish in Mahanikeshwar University. And as Professor Misra was telling, that research is not a formula, it's not something that can be done in one night or 1 month. It's a journey. We have to continuously go on that journey, and we have to do labor, we have to dedicate ourselves, we have to devote our time, we have to love research, then research will love you, then our site score will increase, then our H index will increase. So dear scholars, dear faculties, please attend this workshop seriously. Take out your writing pad, write down whatever the resource persons are telling, interact with the resource persons, and try to grab as much as opportunity, as much as benefit you want to take from this one-day workshop. We are running late, I will not waste time, I will not stand as a barrier between the resource person. I don't want to steal time of our resource persons. So once again, thank you to all our resource persons, thank you to Subharao sir, thank you to all the resource persons, thanks to the conveners and all the faculties and research scholars and the PG students. You will not get this kind of opportunity, believe me. So attend this workshop with utmost sincerity. Thank you so much. Thank you everyone.
Thank you, ma'am, for your valuable words. As it is always, you are very concerned for the students, the research scholars, and for the institutions in total. So now it's time, as it is one of the parameters in research, you have to paraphrase everything with managing the time. So, ma'am, honorable Vice Chancellor, manage the time very effectively, nicely. A very small time, like a very stipulated period, she could express many things, expecting many things from our research scholars. So now, I request with all humility, Dr. Madhurika Sahu, Director, Student Welfare, to offer formal vote of thanks. Please, ma'am.
Thank you, sir. Very good morning to one and all present here. Honorable Vice Chancellor in charge, Dr. Nivedita Nath, Madam. In fact, she has done half of my job. Respected Deputy Registrar, Dr. Jaidev Sahu, sir. Respected Chief Guest of the workshop, Professor Subharao, sir. Respected Guest of Honor, Professor Manoranjan Misra, sir. Respected Guest of Honor, Professor Rajiv Padhi, sir. Respected Convener of the workshop, Dr. Rajkishore Mana, sir, Director, Research and Development. Respected Co-Convener of the workshop, Dr. Kailas, sir, and Dr. Chitra Sen, sir. It's my privilege to give the vote of thanks propose a vote of thanks for the National Workshop on Academic Writing and Publishing organized by the Research Development Cell. First and foremost, I want to thank our Vice Chancellor in charge for proposing the idea of such kind of important workshop, especially when our students are at the writing stage and they're about to submit the thesis and publish in a way to publish their paper from their thesis. I want to thank the convener of the workshop who have and the co-convener who have taken the spirit so positively to organize this important workshop. I want to thank the resource persons who have spent their time, especially at this juncture, when the traveling to Kalahari is very difficult. I remember yesterday when we were having the progress seminar, two of our scholars went to receive Subharoy sir from Raipur. So from Calcutta to Raipur, Raipur to Bhawanipatna, imagine they have taken so long journey to be with you, be with the faculty members here, be with the PhD scholar here. I also want to thank our guests of honors who have travelled from Balesur as well as from Sambalpur, Professor Mishra and Professor Padi. Want to thank thank the scholars who have been here for one day to listen to our source person. Thanks to the faculty members, I can see Director Academic here and CDC, Director CDC, our faculty members from Anthropology Department, Political Science, History, Sociology. In fact, almost all the department faculty members are here, PG students, PhD scholars are here to listen to our resource person. I want to thank AKN News who are covering this workshop and the staff member for the support. At the last, I would like to say a few things. I remember my PhD journey where I was a scholar like you sitting out there looking for opportunity where I can learn how to write, where I can learn how to publish a paper. I have traveled so many conferences, presented paper, don't know how many professors I have spoken to, how I should develop a research paper. So this journey has taught me many things. My paper used to get rejected, I used to get disheartened. And it is a process, my dear scholar, it is a process. The process of disheartening, the process of stress, the process of, at the end, you will be happy when you get in a very good journal. When I remember my first paper got published in one of the international journals, Emirate journals, and I was really happy. In fact, the first paper that I wrote during my PhD journey was in EPW. And from EPW to Nature, the journal like Nature. So the whole journey is an entirely learning process. And now even after submission, even after publishing, the journey goes on. You may be the editor. You may be the editor in some journal, from author to editor. So you will be then writing grants for building the projects. So the process goes on. So research is an entire journey and it goes on till your 80s, till your 90s. The passion should goes on. So let this passion be ignited in this workshop. Let you all learn, and especially, I'm not saying about the PhD scholar, for all of us, I'm here to learn. As Subharoy sir says, I'm still learning from my students. I am also learning from my student, my project assistant, who teach me every now and then she would come with some mental health research paper and would discuss with me. So please, my dear scholar, please discuss whatever new ideas, new thoughts that are coming to you, discuss with your guide. Because the guide doesn't, we made the guide, but you made the, knowledge provider. So with this note, I won't spend much of time in giving the vote of thanks. No one to be in between the resource person. So thanks all for giving me the opportunity to take this session seriously, and I request to be more interactive. Be interactive, say about your topic, how far you have reached, and how should you develop paper, where you should get more information. In fact, I hope that most of you should have an account in ResearchGate and academia, where you get a lot of research from outside the world as well, not just in India but outside the world. So thank you all. Thank you so much for giving me this opportunity.
Thank you, Dr. Odisha for offering a beautiful vote of thanks. we also thank you so much for being a part of this event. I just want to give a special thanks to AKN News Channel for telecasting this program in live, and they always help us and come to every kind of program to telecast it. So now this is time for the plenary session 1, and we are running short of time. So the plenary session 1 will be delivered by two of our prominent scholars, so Professor Subha Rai, Head Biological Anthropology Unit, ISI Kolkata. Sir will be talking on mastering the art of research paper writing. And second paper will be presented by, or the second plenary discussions will be delivered by Sir on address by our guest of honor, that mastering the art of thesis writing. These two papers will be the plenary session 1. Then afterwards we will be having plenary session 2, that will be starting from 2 p.m. After the long break. So now I request Sir Chiranjeev Sabha, Assistant Professor, Department of Anthropology, to give a brief note about our speaker today, that is Professor Subha. Please, sir.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. A warm good morning to one and all, and welcome to the event. Honorable Vice Chancellor in charge, Dr. Nivedita Nagme, esteemed Registrar, Sri Pitambore Bhai sir, in his absence here, esteemed Controller of Finance, in his absence here, esteemed Chief Guest, Professor Subra, esteemed guest of honor, Professor Manoranjan Misra sir, esteemed guest of honor, Professor Rajiv Padi sir, Convener Dr. Mohan sir, Co-Convener Chitrasan and Pada sir, and all dignitaries of the MMU, CDC and academic director, all scholars, students and faculty members of the MMU. I, Chiranjeev Sabha, Assistant Professor of Department of Anthropology, Manikeshwari University, gives me immense pleasure and honor that I stand before you to introduce our distinguished chief guest for today's workshop. I am delighted to introduce our chief guest, Professor Subha sir, who has warmly accepted our invitation to join us today. Professor Subha, a luminary in the field of anthropology and an academician. Currently, he is serving as a professor of biological anthropology at Indian Statistical Institute, Calcutta. Professor Roy brings with him a wealth of experience, expertise spanning decades of rigorous research, teaching, and scholarly contributions. A recipient of his bachelor's, master's, and PhD degree from Calcutta University, Professor Roy research focuses on understanding population health through biocultural lenses, particularly exploring how social and cultural dynamics shape health and outcomes. His works are in reproductive health, ecology, and anthropological demography, has earned him global recognition with more than 100 publications. He has published in many journals like The Lancet, PLOS ONE, Scientific Reports. Beyond his research, Professor Roy is a stalwart in academic headship. He serves as a managing editor of the Journal of the Indian Anthropological Society, and he has guided national initiatives like EPG Pathshala program under the Government of India, emphasizing his commitment to advancing research and education. His roles as an ethics committee chairman, editorial board member, and elected selectional president at the Indian Science Congress further attest to his authority in shaping academic discourse. Today, Professor Roy will share insights on mastering the art of research paper writing. A topic he is uniquely qualified to address, giving us prolific publication care, editorial acumen, and hands-on mentorship. Thank you so for your presence here and taking your pain. Thank you so much.
Am I audible to all of you? Do I need an extra mic? No.
The extra mic is better.
Better? Okay. Who is a researcher? My first question to you. Who you consider to be a researcher? Can anyone from the audience, my scholars? You have heard about that, people saying that he's a researcher. But who is a researcher? Who can say it? Is it so simple that researcher means those who do research? In addition to it, yes, please tell me. Okay, searching for new things, that is a researcher. But I would like to add one point more. A researcher who searches for new things and disseminates knowledge, share knowledge. If you do research and put it inside your cupboard, then you will not be a good researcher, you will perish because your knowledge, the new things that you have discovered, will not be highlighted. Some people may say that, sir, I will do research and publish in newspaper. Will that be good? Yes, that will be good, but later. When you publish that new research in a good journal, and why in a good journal, what is a good journal, how this good journal makes you effective, your research effective, that I will come. After publishing that research in a good journal, then you can highlight the newspaper to reach to the general people. This is how you can do it. So first you get your research tested by May I have your attention, my dear girls? Please. So first you get your research published in good journals and test that your research is correct. Then you disseminate knowledge by using popular media, by writing blogs, reaching out to the local newspapers, right? This is how you can reach to the common people, or writing popular articles in magazines and newspapers, right? So a researcher is the one whom I consider to be a researcher, who do research and disseminate research. Now the second point is, what is the difference between writing of a thesis and writing of a research paper? Can any of you from the audience say, my dear scholars, writing of a thesis and writing of a research paper? Okay. When I talk of writing of a thesis, no university in this country has word limit, has page limit, right? So you can write a thesis of 750 pages, 350 pages, and in theoretical sciences, it can be of 100 or 150 pages. There is no word limit there is no limit for tables, there is no limit for references. But when you are writing for a research journal, here comes the challenge. A researcher has to make a comprehensive presentation of the research within a particular word limit, within a particular number of references, number of tables. There are journals, good journals usually, they say that the word limit of submission of article is 5,000 words, 6,000 words, and they have their machine to check. Once you upload the manuscript to their portal, they will not allow you to process the word limit. The number of references, there are some journals which say that what should be the number of references. Some journals also refer that recent references are to be cited. Until and unless it is very essential to cite a very old reference, that is a classical reference. The tables may be more than 5. Keywords must be 5 or 6 words. Title, the number of alphabets should be 26 or 27. And here comes the testing time for a researcher. And many of us just withdraw from publishing in good journals because there are so many constraints. Right? But in Thesis, you don't have that. You don't have, you have the liberty to write 750 pages of Thesis. But if you remain off after writing of a thesis and getting awarded and say, well, I'm a doctorate, you know. How many of the people of this academic world learn about your thesis? Only 3. You, your supervisor, and the external activity. Nobody will know what you have done in your research until and unless you open your research to the public domain. Right? That's what Madam was saying, publish or perish. If you publish, you will remain alive in academics. If you do not publish, you will become off. Nobody will know you. Nobody will recognize you. Oh, acha, there university, acha. Do you have any publication? Oh, no publication. So people will not recognize you. And that will be a death of a scholar. Death of a scholar. Now the question is, publication these days have become compulsory. If you want to submit a thesis, you need a publication. If you want to apply for a faculty position, you need a publication. Because you need to have a good academic performance indicator, API. If you want to go for a promotion, you need a... So this 21st century, you know, as per the policy of the education system in India, you need to have a good API score. And this has become, I will not say blessing, it has become to a certain extent curse. Because number of predatory journals have come up these days. Right? Number of predatory journals have come up in these days with the name International Journal of Geography, International Journal of Falana, International Journal of this, and they will list up a number of editorial board members, all foreign countries. And since we are still under the colonial hangover, we think that the foreign auditors are there, they must be very good. We become tempted, we submit manuscript, and within 7 days, within 10 days, within 5 days, or within a day, you will find your paper published in black and white, and you will be delighted to see your name on the published paper. And you will start sharing in Facebook, WhatsApp, and different social media. Now, when I sit in the selection committee meeting and scholars come up with this type of publications, we go through at least abstract, and what we find, forget about the language. The title of the paper doesn't go with the abstract doesn't go with the main text, and it is also all of us. So what impression a selection committee member will have if they find this type of articles you have in black and white? Forgetting about the journal, the immediate impression that will come to my mind and to many of the people who sit in the selection committee that this journal is a Farsi journal. Right? And how or not it is possible to when you submit a manuscript today and after 7 days your paper gets published? That means your paper has not been evaluated adjudicated by appropriate reviewers, which are called peer review process. Suppose you submit a journal, an article in my journal, in our journal, in a particular journal, and that journal will try to look into who are the appropriate people working in this field. Suppose you are working, you have submitted an article in the area of, let me give an example, tribal health. So, a managing editor or the editor-in-chief of the journal will try to find out who are the renowned scholars work in the area of tribal health. And if there is a specific tribe, for example, Bondo tribal health, then the editor will try to find out, is there any person who have researched on Bondo tribals or tribals of Odisha? And they will try to find out that person, seek consent from them and send to a master. And you will get a feedback, and then the feedbacks are sent to the authors. And this is how it is an exercise, an academic debate that goes on, maybe 3 rounds, 4 rounds, and finally if the editor finds that you are doing well and the manuscript has changed or not, your paper will be published. This is called a peer review process. Now in this type of pre-literary journal, where you pay a little bit of processing fee and get your paper published, उसमें क्या होता है? You are not having an age on the manuscript. Whatever you write, they will publish. So, in this discourse, what is happening, despite your paper or manuscript having a tremendous potentiality, you are not getting the training of review and processing and giving final age to it. So it will be a loss for yourself as an academics and a loss for a discipline. So my dear participants, please do not fall in the trap of these journals. Right? Many of our teachers encourage, I'm sorry to say, right, that you publish it there because you have to submit a thesis. And I am telling this, delivering this lecture in the capacity of an author whose papers got published in very renowned journals, as an author whose papers or manuscripts got rejected from far more journals, as a managing editor of a UGC listed one journal of this country, and as a reviewer. So I will be sharing my experiences with you. Many of my papers got rejected. When I was a student or I was a budding faculty, I used to get deserted, set back. Now I do not. And I also tell my scholars, don't get deserted. Pick up the points of rejection, work on it, try to submit in a different journal. And the reviewers are not there with a sword to cut your head. Their job is to improve the quality of the manuscript. Because mainly most of the journals, they follow anonymous double blindfold peer review process. Anonymous means your name will not appear to the reviewer who you are or your university affiliation. So for example, our journal, Journal of the Indian Anthropological Society, which is very regular and you can visit our website, we follow a double blindfold review process. Say for example, if Madhurika submits a manuscript to our journal, I will hide the name of the author and the university identity, even the ethical clearance and everything from that manuscript, and I will try to communicate to a peer reviewer. The peer reviewer will not come to know who the author is, and then the reviewer submits the report to me. I will hide the identity. Even if they go for a track change, I will try to ensure that in track change mode, the name of the reviewer is not appearing. So in that case, what is happening? An unbiased review takes place. And then after collecting the comments, what I do, maybe 2 or 3 reviewers they comment, and then we send it to the author. Now, what happens at this stage? Whenever the author finds so many comments, it becomes a setback for that author. Because the author didn't receive the training that this academic exercise should go on. And this is helpful. They stick with the problem, with those comments. 1 month, 2 months. But when they cross the deadline of resubmission of the revised manuscript, and they lose interest. So first point is, whenever the reviewer sends you a comment, go through the comments. Initially, it can be a setback for you, but hold on. Go through the comments again and again. And gradually you will get to know that many of the comments that has been raised by the reviewer, you will be able to address those. It is not necessary that all the comments needs to be addressed. You have the right to defend your stand because it is an academic debate. They are not your boss. You have every right to cite reference and say that I disagree to this comment because of this reasons. And if you agree to it, you adhere to the comments made by the reviewer. But in both the cases, the reviewer should be very polite, and so also the author. And here, impoliteness doesn't give a very good taste, right? And it happens. Sometimes the authors become impolite, the reviewers also become impolite. And when I made a mistake, couple of mistakes, a reviewer was very harsh in words. I didn't care much. I sent it to the author. The author protested, sent me a protest letter, and I had to apologize to the author for not amending the words or editing the words, harsh words from the reviewer. I, as an author, also received a harsh comment from a reviewer, and I also, not me, but my corresponding author, put that point to the editor. The editor apologized. So, we both of us should be very polite in our communication. Now, second thing is, why to publish in good journals? I always give an anecdote to my scholars that there are different types of newspapers. One is a national daily, one is a regional daily, another is a local daily. Now, when you talk of a national daily, a news gets published in a national daily, we always become very much sure that the news is authentic. Sometimes why? Because a national daily has a good publishing house. I'm not naming any national or regional. They have a strong editorial board who will never allow any news to get published without a proper scanning. Right? And you know many of the names of Indian Express editors, Hindu editors, Hindustan Times, they are very renowned in their own field and they will not let go their news agency to go down. So, they scan each and every news properly and then finally order for printing. Regional, it may not be. I'm not saying that they are not. And local may not be. But you as a reader tell me, which news you will consider to be most authentic. Obviously, I'm sure that a news that comes out, the content of the news that comes out in a national daily will have more authenticity than this because of the scanning process. Same thing about publication in journals. Now, if you publish in a good journal, then what happens? These good journals are indexed in good databases like Web of Science, PubMed, Google Scholar, and your article will be floating on the web. If somebody types your name or somebody types a topic of his or her research using Google search engine, immediately, if you have a paper on that, it will appear. Now, I ask sometimes to my students after doing literature review, which of the papers you have consulted and where has been this published. And if I find that some of the journal references, I'm very sorry to say, that these journals are not that good, because I know that these journals are not peer reviewed, not published from good publishing houses, I become a little bit, take it with a pinch of salt, because with the suspicion that how rigorous peer review process this paper has gone through. So, many cases what happens, if you do not publish in good journals, your paper will not get cited by the future scholars. And this is, in interview, the experts ask, what is your number of citations? And how many of your papers got cited more than 10, which is called item index. So more your paper gets cited more than 10, your item index increases, your citing also increases. So this is an author matrix by which you can estimate your position in the competition. But if you are not publishing in good reputed journals, then what happens? Your paper will not be cited by these scholars and you will lose citation. You have to remain happy by showing people that well, this paper has been published in black and white. You have to go. People will not find your credentials in the web, in the web world, right? Am I clear? Any question? Sure. Now my second question to you, what are good journals? So you were saying that they should publish in good journals, but what are good journals? A good journal to me is a good publication house. Sage, Elsevier, Wiley, right? Then Routledge, Taylor Francis, these are very good journals. In India also, there are good publication houses like Journal of Social Stages, there are Indian Journal of Medical Research, Journal of Indian Pediatrics. So these are very standard good journals because their publication houses are very good. And once the publication house is good, it means that the publication house will recruit or appoint editors, managing editors, handling editors who are efficient in this field. And this editorial board will never allow a single manuscript to go through proper scan. Right? All the manuscripts should be scanned properly. Right? So this is the importance of good publication house, and these are the criteria of good journals. Another criteria of good journals is the indexing of the journals, where they are indexed. Right? As I said, their abstracts where it is indexed. And impact factor, I will come to later, there is little bit debated. I will show how impact factor is calculated, and I will talk about little bit of impact factor controversy. I will come to that later. So I have now, after preparing your manuscript, don't rush for publishing. I have heard people saying that, oh, you have completed this manuscript, you submit it into the top-notch journal. Top-notch means high-level journal of your field. Now, the scholars, I have heard on my ears, supervisors saying that what will happen? At most, your paper will be rejected. इससे बड़ा कुछ नहीं होगा, इससे खराब तो कुछ नहीं होगा, आपका पेपर मिलेगा. But I disagree to this view. Why? Because if a scholar doesn't understand the age of the manuscript, EDGE, उसका value of the manuscript in competition with other manuscripts, then it will, I consider this to be a failure. So, if once you prepare a manuscript, you need to know how much is the quality of this manuscript and what could be the possible outlet for competition. You may also fail in that way. But if you have a philosophical thought that let me first communicate to one journal, if that fails, then to the second level journal, then to the third level journal, at the end of the day, your morale will become down. You will lose confidence. So try to develop self-estimation that where this material can be published. I'm telling you again, publication is also a gamble also. Because to some, your manuscript may be very subjective. But you as an author should be very careful about the protocol. Right? leave it to the reviewers, whether they reject it or accept with major division, minor division, whatever. But you as an author become accomplished in evaluating your own manuscript. How can you do it? How can you do it? You have to first select whether your manuscript you want to communicate to a very specialized journal or a very general journal. I know the participants are from different fields, right? Some are from Korean literature, some are from anthropology, some might be from geography. Am I correct? Yes. Okay. Now, each of these disciplines, they have their very subject-specific journals. How many of you from geography? Please raise your hand. Sir, what is a very famous journal of your domain? Can you just name me? Sit down. Don't have to stand. Please. There is one other journal called Landscape or something, as far as I remember. Right? So each journal, each subject has its own discipline-specific journal. Right? And also, there are some multidisciplinary journals. For example, in anthropology, right? We have some subject-specific journals. And when we were scholars during late 90s, we used to look forward in publication in those journals. Why? Because those journals were considered to be the most premier journals where anthropologists needs to publish in order to get an academic position. Well, I have published in Annals of Human Biology. I have published in Current Anthropology. These are very premier journals in our subject. Now, what is happening, these days? Now, each journal has its own aim and scope, and it is available on the website. So if you want to publish in if you select a particular journal, then Google it and see that what are the goals and try to find out on the home page, what are the aims and scopes written there. And you try to see whether your manuscript that you have prepared fits with the broad aim and scope of that journal. Without looking into it, do not communicate to the journal because you will face immediate rejection. Let me share my experience with you. Are you getting bored? Okay, fine. We receive around 150 manuscripts per calendar year. What is the meaning of calendar year? Starting from 1st of January ending to 31st of. Out of this 150 manuscript, 70% gets rejection from the editorial desk. You know why? 70% gets rejection from the editorial desk because of some reasons. Number one, the manuscripts were submitted not following the manuscript submission protocol. What is the manuscript submission protocol? It is available on the website. The authors are asked to submit a manuscript following a particular format. It can be word limit, what should be the font size, what should be the title headings, right? What should be the style of writing references, and also it is mentioned what are the aims and scope of this particular journal. They do not look into it. Whatever they define, they just submit. And in the governing letter, they write PFA, my article for the next issue. I consider this to be a lack of training. PFA means please find attached the article for your next issue. And in the manuscript submission journal, we write about the journal that we follow a double blindfold peer review process. We do not advertise for any particular issue, and we publish articles as per the chronological order of acceptance of manuscripts. Because after every publication, we write the manuscript recipient date and acceptance date. They don't look into it, they submit it without following. So immediate rejection. Some gets rejected obviously because of very bad language. Because these days it is very difficult to have a professional copy editor who will edit. Earlier it was, in good journals there were professional copy editors who used to copy edit very thoroughly. Please. Now, what is happening here is very important. And some of the manuscripts, they submit without submitting an ethical declaration. What is an ethical declaration? Ethical declaration is that this manuscript has not been communicated elsewhere. So they do not follow the submission protocol and they submit it and immediately have to follow it from the rejection list because this is the primary criteria for the authors to submit a manuscript. So please be careful about it. Follow the protocol to. And writing of reference. Many of us do not give much meaning. I myself faced this difficulty. When I joined Indian Statistical Institute as a PhD scholar, my supervisor was very surprised to see that I do not know about the protocol of writing a reference. And this protocol of writing reference varies from journal to journal. And there is clear mention in the journal website that what would be the writing of, what should be the style of writing a reference of a journal, for a memoir, for an edited book, for a book, or for a census, or for an electronic journal. I was very ashamed. I do not know how to write a reference, and it is so important. And I would like to request this university that at least when you are taking the students for the whole last semester, taking about research methodology, kindly add a component of reference writing style. There are different styles that at least students should know that, well, I have to be careful about writing about a reference. Now, second is, now you finalize and look into the journals and see who is the publisher of the journals, who are the members of the editorial board. Editorial board matters. And these days you can Google and find what are the profile of this editorial board members and abstracting, indexing, I said, and find it. On the home page, you try to see during the last couple of years what type of articles are getting published. Why I am telling you, this is very interesting. Periodically, each journal, they change their publication policy by changing their aim and scope. Why? We do change syllabus, right? Every 10 years, every 5 years. Why? Because every day new knowledge is gaining. And we accordingly, and this knowledge, where it comes from? It doesn't come from here, it comes from research. A continuous research in a particular area will build new body of knowledge and that gets finally incorporated in the syllabus. Right? Let me give an example. I am not bragging, please don't take it otherwise. When I started my research in the area of reproductive health, nowhere in the University of this India, reproductive health was a component of anthropology course. And now I am very happy to see that reproductive anthropology has become a component in many of the Indian universities anthropology department. I am not talking about other departments. Because this reproductive health has become an area of study component. So this is how this has been included. So these journals, they also periodically they expand their aim and scopes. Why? Because disciplinary boundaries are expanding and we are now having an overlapping area, economics with anthropology, sociology, political science, life science with biotechnology, microbiology and all these things, right? Also humanities, we find there are a lot of overlapping areas. Now, the journals which were very specific for yours at one point of time, which were only the journals for anthropology, for geography, for sociology, for political science, for literature, other scholars are trying to edit them. Now you are facing a competition. And the editor has to take a call which type of manuscript is better. That is, thesis writing, you are not facing any competition, you are your own competitor. But in paper, you are competing with many others. So since the journals have expanded their aim and scope, you are facing this type of challenges. Right? So you need to work upon to compete with others about it. I am not going to. Another interesting thing, this is what I am citing, this is a journal published by Cambridge University Press. This journal there is a definition why this journal is called as international. What is the meaning of international? If you look at it, it says that it is international both in terms of geographical areas covered. That means this journal goes to different corners of the world and the contributors are also from different corners of the world. So if Indian journal claims that I am an international journal, show me how many international level scholars contribute to your journal and to which corner of the world this journal is subscribed. There is some multidisciplinary journals also have come up in 21st century. Say for example, social science and medicine. This is not an exclusive journal for medical persons. Very few medical persons contribute there. Most of the contributors are from social sciences. Anthropology, geography, sociology, they are contributing here. Or say for example, public health and nutrition. The contributors are from epidemiology, public health scholars, physiologists, nutritionists, anthropologists. That means ये खिचड़ी है, multidisciplinary. And they have a wider aim and scope. Now you are competing with all this. Or say for example, women and health. Women and health means not only gynecologists are contributing. I as an anthropologist also contributed. You as an anthropologist can contribute there. That means they have made it such a open, both clinical, epidemiological and social. That means you are getting challenged by scholars from other disciplines. And here lies the challenge with the authors. I'll not go into it. These are the abstracting database. I'm showing that every journal shows that what are the abstracting and indexing database that they have. And this is how you can find out. This can be one of the criteria of selecting of a journal. Because if you publish journal in this type of where this journal is indexed in, that means your citation is likely to be increased. Right? Now coming to this impact factor. I'll come to this. Right? Have you seen the impact factor at the top? Okay, now come to this impact factor. Impact factor varies. Why? There are a couple of reasons behind it. A person from English literature, another person working in the area of cancer genetics, another person working in the area of environment. Environment genetics, molecular genetics, cancer genetics are the priority area of research and you get a lot of fundings. And many scholars are working in this field. More the scholars work in the particular field, the likelihood of receiving citation in this particular journals or articles will be high. Say for example, environment, pollution, many people are working. Very less people are working on tribal education. Very less people are working in the area of, other areas, maybe Oriental literature, maybe English literature, maybe Indian diaspora. These are the areas. I'm just talking on and off, trying to meet to all the needs of the participants. But don't get upset if a person comes and say that, well, I have published a journal, an article in a journal which has impact factor of 38. You try to check out, right, what type of journal it is. Say for example, in anthropology, the highest rating journal is Current Anthropology at the moment. It's close to 6 or 5 or 6. So we cannot expect an anthropologist to publish in a journal until unless it becomes interdisciplinary. For example, we published a paper in Lancet which has an impact factor of 168. But it is not only me who has published, but I collaborated with 7 other scholars. So that is not a truly anthropological, but I provided my anthropological input to it. So those who are working in pollution, environment, cancer genetics, right? Environmental related issues, they have so it is very unlikely to compare one scholar with another based on impact factor because the area of research is different. And I'm giving an example, what we are facing in Indian Statistical Institute in recruitment process. Our subject, Biological Anthropology Unit, is under Biological Science Division. And there we have mathematical biology. It's a school concept. We have mathematical biology, we have agricultural ecology, we have human genetics, we have biological anthropology. The scholars who are from mathematical biology, they are publishing in articles in their journals of high impact factor. So also genetics, so also agricultural ecology. So whereas biological anthropology, we have lesser impact factor journals, so our candidates are trying to get inducted there because of this. Now ISI is now planning to have discipline specific, because you cannot compare statistics with language on the basis of impact factor. Same thing is happening with Anthropical Statistical Institute Social Science Division. Social Science Division incorporates econometrics, sociology, linguistics. So econometrics, you know, they have a higher publication rate, and I was there in one of the selection committee meetings long back, where a sociologist, I know, all of me, anthropologists know, I am not name, he struggled to find a position because the expert from economics said that, well, this candidate from economics, he has published in top-notch journal with high impact factor. And there was a policy during that time, so we have to succumb to them. But don't get upset with that, because when you will be appearing for the interview for your own selection committee, you will be competing with your own peers, that is from the same discipline. Now, how is impact? So this is about the impact factor, but how this impact factor is calculated? Let me show this. In 2017, the impact factor of nature was 48.157. 48.57. This is called a 2-year impact factor. That means 2017 से पहले 2015, 2016 ये 2 साल में नेचर में कितने सारे आर्टिकल पब्लिश हुए? And you know, Nature is a weekly journal like Science. In Nature, 2016 में 880 articles got published, and 2015 902. तो कुल मिला के कितना पब्लिकेशन हुआ 2 साल में? 1702. Out of these 1702 articles, 2017 साल में एंड में कोई कैलकुलेट करके देखा टोटल नंबर ऑफ साइटेशन ये 1702 आर्टिकल में कितने हुआ? 74,009. सो ये 2 साल में जितना आर्टिकल पब्लिश हुआ उसका साइटेशन 74,000 टोटल. तो इसका इफ यू डिवाइड इट, सो लार्जर द साइटेशन कंपेयर्ड टू द पब्लिकेशन, ग्रेटर विल बी द, बट दिस इम्पैक्ट फैक्टर इज नॉट अ कांस्टेंट. ये देखोगे कुछ जर्नल का इम्पैक्ट फैक्टर बढ़ते जा रहा है, कुछ जर्नल का इम्पैक्ट फैक्टर बढ़ते जा रहा है, फिर घटते जा रहा है, फिर हाउ, व्हाई? अगेन इट डिपेंड्स अपॉन द एडिटोरियल बोर्ड, हाउ stringent they are in selecting and screening of manuscripts. जैसे एक यूनिवर्सिटी और इंस्टीट्यूट को अप्स एंड डाउन्स एकेडमिक्स में होता है, राइट, बिकॉज ऑफ द टॉप लेवल अथॉरिटीज विजिटिंग and the recruitment policy. Same thing happens in journals also. Now coming to next part. Be careful about the preparation of manuscripts. The first point that I would like to put up is, are you aware of headings and subheadings? I receive manuscript, the heading is bold, italicized, underlined. All storage is done to make it very, very prominent. Next, main text introduction, capitalized, underlined, italicized. So you fail to understand what is the heading, under which subheading is, and what are the subheadings. So if you look at this, you can see very well that objectives, methods, data types, these are subheadings, right? And under methods you have study areas. I'm sorry. Objectives and methods, they are subheadings. Study area and data type are the subheadings under the method part. You can see the change in style and font. That makes a difference, right? Under methods, yeah. Or secondly, under this subheading data types, these are the 2 subheadings, italicized. So people will not confuse that these are the points made under this subheading. This is clear. Can you see it from here? So इसका महत्व क्या है? Be careful about it. Otherwise, a reviewer or a reader or an editor will get confused. इसके अंदर कौन सा point है? Second point. Look carefully. The first line of a paragraph starting with heading. From where it starts? Aligned to the left. Subsequent paragraph. ये देखो यहाँ पे भी है subsequent paragraph. So the first line of paragraph of under heading or subheading will be indented to the left and subsequent paragraphs में क्या होगा उसका indent होगा. So be careful about it. These are the nuances what I am talking about. Avoid mistakes. Suppose you are preparing a manuscript without a page number, without forming double spacing. Preparing a table which is such a big one, you have to break it into two. It doesn't make sense. You can change the orientation to landscape, you can reduce the font size, you can put it at annexure if it is such a big table. And if you are bound to do it in split into two tables, do right, continue next page, continue from the previous page. Otherwise, people will not know whether there is a continuity in the table. Right? Next is grammatical error. The most common grammatical error we do is articles, prepositions. Right? Now, how to work on it? You don't have to go and study, taking a popular classes, spoken English class. There is no need. Read good papers. Research, communication is very important. How you are communicating in a very simplistic and comprehensive way. जैसे आपको कुछ लेक्चर अच्छा लगता है क्लास में, क्योंकि टीचर बहुत comprehensively, precisely with simple language कुछ बोलते हैं. There are some scholars who use a different path. So students might not feel interest or might feel it confusing. Right? So communication in terms of oral communication, writing communication. For writing communication, I advise you humbly to read good papers. Until and unless you read good papers, you will not be able to articulate the style of writing a paper. That is altogether a different ballgame. You may be a good in writing, literature, but scientific writing is totally different. You cannot use jugglery. You cannot use superlatives. You cannot use flowery language. You have to be very straightforward. It's very harsh, to the point. Small sentences. We, non-native English-speaking country writers, we have a problem. I also have this problem of elongating a sentence, comma, and this. And we always feel that if I don't write this sentence, then it will not be meaningful to the reader. So here you need to read many articles to learn how to make comprehensive sentences, small short sentences. This is very important, right? Next comes and the tense. Title page is very important. When you write a title, you may start writing an article with a simple title, right? With a tentative title. Right? Then after completing the manuscript, focus on the title. Why am I telling this? Because whenever you submit a manuscript to a journal, the editor first tries to look into the title, what the title is talking about. And the journal editors will always try to find something new in a manuscript, not a repetitive manuscript. Something new means, say for example, the same topic, on a same topic, many people are working. What is your approach? What is the novelty in your approach? Either you should have a novelty in your approach or design of study, or you should be working on a big database. Big database means a very good estimate that you are getting. Or your analysis must have some novelty. That means if 10 scholars are working on a same topic, right? Doesn't matter. But if your approach is totally different, your design, your interpretation, your looking into a phenomena is totally different than the other, then your work will be appreciated compared to others. Say for example, if you are working on tribal education, And if you are simply looking into how many are school dropouts, how many are not going to the school, how many are first generation learner, it makes more sense. Good or bad, I don't know for me. But if you as a scholar try to take a different approach into looking into the problem, that why tribal education is so poor in terms of power relations, in terms of discrimination, in terms of structural inequality, right? Then you will be adding some novelty to it. Sir is from physics. If sir, people are doing research in the laboratory, physics laboratory, the same phenomena. Why it is getting contested, sir? The same discovery, same findings getting discovered again and again, or challenged and contested again and again. Because people are trying to look into the same thing from different perspectives and trying to put forward some different perspective to it. And then, if you are, that is, you are adding new body of knowledge. And this new body of knowledge is appreciated by the journal and the reviewer and the editor. Okay, next coming to, so title is very important. Say for example, in this first title, it is about a menopausal symptoms we worked on. But we actually worked on these two symptoms, vasomotor and urogenital. But our title was simply menopausal problems. The reviewer's comment, one of the comments from the reviewer was, you will be diluting the text if you do not focus on the two specific problems that you are working on. So we changed the title. If you look at the last title, it is a catchy title. Is menopause a health risk for Bengali women? We posed a question. We didn't say that menopause, the type of menopausal problems Bengali women are facing. No. You see, the question is in the title, is it a problem? That is, it may be a problem, it may not be a problem. So here comes the research. So how catchy, how interesting, and at this stage, please don't try with that. Because we will be failing to do justice to the main text. I'm giving you option that title matters a lot in your paper. Here, this is a paper which we published on a robust data. Robust data means huge data. National Family and Health Survey data means 10-year data that is available on the public domain. We analyze it. And you see that the subtitle, Evidence from National Family and Health Survey. Why we added this? We added this to attract the reviewer and the editor that this manuscript is prepared on a 10-year India database. That means it is a robust data and our estimate will be precise. Look at the last one, smoking tobacco, a study from phenomenological approach. Phenomenology, social science people must be knowing, where philosophical and psychological. Why use phenomenological approach? Here we highlighted our approach because smoking tobacco पर बहुत लोग काम किया. But I do not know how many, must be very few, who took a phenomenological approach to looking into the smoking habits. So here title matters. Title really matters. Then writing of abstract. Madam, how much time do I have? It's 11:45.
So you can take
Writing of abstract comes at the end. Comes at the end means once you complete writing the manuscript, सब ले लिया. इसके बाद what is abstract? And the main problem that happens in writing of abstract is a word limit. There are journals which allows 300 words abstract, 250 words, 150 words, 75 words. Journal of Gender Studies, Malvika Karlekar, when she was the editor, we submitted a manuscript that said that the abstract will be 75 words. Now the challenge is to make a comprehensive presentation of your entire research within this word limit. And you know what my scholars say? Sir, आप हो नहीं पा रहे. क्यों हो नहीं पा रहे सर? 25 वर्ड ज़्यादा हो गया. आप उसको, when I edited and said it, sir, you are so ruthless. This is you ruthlessly, but what should be the content of that? What the problem that authors they create? They write about, say for example, there are many Oriya scholars, right? Literature, let me address to them. In the abstract, they will write about Oriya Sahitya, Oriya Thynks, right? Everything. But the manuscript is all about post-colonial Oriya literature, feminist Oriya literature. There are some scholars, right? Sarojini Sahu, and many others, right? So, what they will write about feminist literature in the abstract frame, but he will not write, many of them will not talk about Oriya literature. They will give a different perspective, maybe on feminist movements they will write. And the text they will write on feminist literature. So, abstract is what? Once I read the abstract, I will try to know that what will be in the main text. So, once the title is written, the editor and the reviewer will look into the abstract and then we come to the content. And if these are delayed, हट के हो रहा है, तब क्या होगा? वो review editor पहले से उसको ना करे. That is, you are talking, your title is saying something, your context is saying something, abstract and main. So in the abstract, specifically try to mention what you have done in your research and what is the trend of your findings in your research. You have to encapsulate it in a very refined manner within the word limit. So you have to write your design. You are working on literature, you have to say that we have searched Oriya literature since post-independence, covering this area from public library, from web, internet, right? You see this search engine, and we have so far scanned this number of literatures, grey literature, internet, electronic literature, and we analyzed Oriya literature from this perspective, and these are the outcomes of my research. From geography, if you are working in the area of landscape geography or whatever, or human geography, you have to see what you have done in your research. Yes, initial point should be highlighted in that way, that what is the rationale of this step. Now, this is some of the abstracts that I am showing about. This is called unstructured abstract, where the journal will say that you have to write an abstract within 300 or 250 words without any headings of it. But the next one is structured abstract. You have to write, the journal will say that you have to write a few lines on objective, method, result, conclusion, but the total work limit should be 250. You can have 3-line objective, no issue. But the total work limit should be 250. This is 75 words. Here we did a focus group discussion on women who faced maternal obstetric morbidity. At the time of childbirth, they faced problems. So we did some focus group discussion, and we had to restrict only to the findings what we got. We couldn't justify our study because 75 was not worthy. So here comes your writing acumen, writing capacity. Don't get disheartened or disappointed. Writing, rewriting, rejection, acceptance, this is the journey. This is the journey. Initially, when I started writing my paper, I used to face many rejections. I used to get demoralized. I couldn't speak because I thought I was a big scholar at that time. That's the main problem. And in our journal, many of the scholars, I'm telling you what happened. They say, some people write that, sir, I'm telling you a very interesting story. A scholar, perhaps from psychology, submitted a manuscript on a particular article. The paper got criticized like anything. The comments were sent to the authors. Can you imagine the author wrote back to me, look, my thesis has been evaluated by one of the foreign examiners. And your reviewers made some ridiculous comment. Like what I said, very harsh. I had to politely write, I was very angry. I said that one-liner, we stood by the reviewers. We stood by the reviewers, you better publish any elsewhere. Drop a line that you are withdrawing the manuscript. She didn't bother to withdraw. And here comes an ethical problem. You cannot contest. Because we give comment and we say that you to submit a review response letter. Review response letter, that means you are engaging yourself in an academic debate, right? But this author, and she happened to be a teacher, I'm not naming them, because I know everybody, I know everybody means because when they submit a manuscript, their affiliations are there. I felt very shocked. Another author, a scholar like you, his paper also, received so many criticism. You know what he wrote back to me? Okay. This paper got published in this journal, I replied humbly that you are in the budding stage of career. I mean, this is unethical. You cannot, because what he did, he submitted articles in 2 different journals. That you cannot do. I mentioned him that, please don't submit manuscript. This is unethical. He didn't respond to it. At least I thought to carry out the message, carry forward the message. Another unethical practice. A big manuscript was submitted in our journal, right? The reviewer reviewed, strong critical comments, and we gave time, the author didn't respond. Later on, I got to know that the author communicated the same manuscript without any correction to another journal. And the journal sent the manuscript to the same reviewer. Then the reviewer called me up and said that I have received the same manuscript from another journal. Has the author withdrawn the manuscript? I said no. Then he said that I will look into it. You see, this is unethical practice. You have the authority or you have the chance to withdraw. You have drop a line. For example, one of the scholars from this Odisha University, one of the Odisha universities, was when we gave a lot of comments, wrote a drop a line. There were 2 authors. The corresponding author, there will be one corresponding author. If there are multiple authors, there will be one corresponding author. The corresponding author, usually they will submit the communicating to the editor. So what I found, sometimes the communicating author is meant by communicating or sometimes the other author. I said that at least take a stand. Who is the corresponding author? The corresponding author should always communicate. Then finally they said it's taking so much time and we withdraw. I said yes, please drop a line. Then that is on record, you have withdrawn. Then another interesting another paper came, and that from a very renowned university. I sent it for a review. The reviewer, after 1 month, attached one manuscript and said that is the author saying. And I found the paper got published in a Middle East journal. And because the reviewer didn't know who the author is, when it got published, he was actually searching, the reviewer was searching for related literature on this Malabar Muslim community of Kerala. There's a particular Muslim community in Kerala that was a research, and the reviewer was searching for any other research. And suddenly came across the same, entire through the same manuscript. So I communicated to the author that look, this article has already been published, this is unethical and we cannot proceed. The author tried to appeal that, argue that, well, she went for a conference there and they, without her knowledge, published. I do not know whether it's unethical for the organizing committee or what. I said that, sorry, we cannot do because this has already been published. So I'm just making you aware for all this facts. Last one. I received the manuscript with some big names attached to it. After going through the initial level of the manuscript, I couldn't imagine that how come these big names be co-authors. So I decided then onward to supplement all the co-authors' email ID. And I started writing to, as soon as the manuscript comes, I acknowledge the corresponding author, then simultaneously send mail to all the co-authors that a manuscript has been submitted under such and such title from this email ID. And from this person with email ID this. Please let me know if you have not contributed to this manuscript. Else, please ignore this one. At least a couple of occasions I found that the other authors wrote back to me that we have no role in this manuscript. So we rejected the manuscript. So this is an unethical practice. Apart from plagiarism and other things. Plagiarism, 10% is allowed. Now the introduction part is very important. I said that writing of a thesis and writing of a paper are two different ballgames. In writing of a thesis, you have the liberty to keep on carrying on writing. Say for example, if you are working on a particular topic, you can start the historical backdrop, this, that, developmental discourse, everything you can write. You can understand what I am saying. But when you are writing a paper, you don't have that liberty. It's very limited. So you start right from the very point where how you start your title, right? It should be very focused. Start with the rationale of the study, and this is how the introduction needs to be built. Introduction is what? You are introducing the topic to the academia. That means simultaneously you are introducing through your lens. Say for example, if somebody is working on feminist Oriya literature, you should start your introduction on this, justifying why feminist literature, Oriya literature became popular during post-colonial period. Right? So this is how you should introduce yourself. If I introduce Mohana as this guy now in academic world, if he goes to my institute, if I say ये इस गांव से आए हैं, इसका जन्म यहीं पे हुआ है, इसका कर्म यहीं पे था, would it be the right introduction? In an academic platform, I should introduce Mohana as an anthropologist who is presently serving this, the way they introduced me, instead of starting from my birth. So in peer power, you should be very focused, right? Because from there, the first line of the introduction will should click with the reader's mind, right? You should know what you are writing. And then, the subsequent lines and subsequent paragraphs, you are building up the rationale of your study. Rationale means your paper can be a policy paper. If you are writing a policy paper, you should talk of the existing policies. That means you are orienting the reader and the reviewer in that direction, how they will look into this particular phenomenon. Because I am a reviewer, I will not know how will you look into this phenomenon. Whether you are looking at this phenomena from gender perspective, from policy perspective, from political economic perspective, right? Say for example, a rose. A botanist will look into a rose from one perspective. A philosopher will look into the rose from a different perspective, right? A biotechnologist, maybe from an evolutionary biologist, will look into the rose from different other perspectives. How much variability is there in the rose? So you are the person who will put the glasses to the editors and the reviewers, or the lenses through which you have seen this particular thing, right? And this is how you gradually build up with supportive literature review. The main problem with literature review is, even if this is what I found, it appears to be an annotated bibliography. You know the meaning of annotated bibliography. Annotated bibliography means you are writing, Das Sharma said this, Sharma and Shekhar talked about this. It's not, it should be a storytelling, right? The way you read a novel, right? So for example, if I write, menopause specific quality of life is important, are governed by various factors. That is, women's life after menopause becomes trivial because of many factors. For example, study from India and abroad show that age at menopause and age at this, then I said, contrary to this, there are literature which found an alternative factors play a role. So this is how you are actually. Oh, sorry. Now, this is how you are actually, what you are doing, you are actually building up. This is how you are rewriting literature review and trying to develop the base of your subject. And finally, you come to your objective or your hypothesis. And what is a hypothesis? Hypothesis is an educated guess. Educated guess. And how you can become this educated guess? Once you become educated, by reading literature. More you read, more you become accomplished in this field. आप किसी को पूछो, when I ask my student what you are researching in, I'm researching in this, and don't be focused, you should do the allied areas because everything are linked. So if somebody is asking you, you talk about these developmental issues, and you need to know what are the contesting views of development, what are the different theoretical perspectives of development. If you don't, because I was very embarrassed. In Calcutta University, in one of the promotional cases, since the Vice Chancellor asked me, can you talk about the colonial policy of health? I'm sorry, I just felt so embarrassed, from junior lecturer to senior lecturer. Then the Vice Chancellor said, I expected this answer from you because you are studying in the area. It really felt me very bad. Then I studied that how this public health system came into scenario when states started controlling, and that happened when this, sequoia mutiny and later when, 1857 later on, how public health developed and how the colonial history developed in health. So if you are working on health, if you don't know this, आगे क्या है, सामने क्या है, आसपास क्या है, then your study is not complete. And that will actually help you to link everything with your own research. Right? It will make you accomplished. I'll not go into this. Next comes methodology. This methodology is considered to be the USP of your research. Right? Now, if I ask somebody that which item you cook very well and people appreciate, कोई कहेंगे हम मटर पनीर बहुत बढ़िया बनाते हैं, अरे अच्छा, अब बताओ कैसे बनाते हैं? हाँ, कुछ मटर ले आओ, कुछ पनीर ले आओ, कुछ ऐसे मसाला ले आओ, उसको पका के हम खिला दें। सर आप क्या बनाना पसंद करते हैं? बैठिए आराम से। You have a hobby of cooking? Yes. मैं पका लें। कौन सा फूड आइटम आप पकाते हैं अच्छे से? पनीर। कौन सा पनीर? तरह तरह का पालक पनीर होता है, मटर पनीर होता है, सर आप कौन सा पनीर? बटर पनीर। आप कैसे बनाते हैं? Don't be shy. I will not go as yes to your food. Don't worry. आप कैसे बनाते हैं? I mean, this is an exercise. What I'm doing. It's related to the lecture. Okay, sir, please. Now, if you look at the chefs, how they tell in the TV show that ये 100 ग्राम पनीर के साथ 50 ग्राम मटर आप भिगो के रखिए, उसके बाद 2 मिनट बाद इसको मैरिनेट कीजिए, right? You do it like this and exactly we get the same result. Materials method is like that. Materials method is to reproduce how you have conducted the research. That is very important. Why? Because that will give the clarity in your research, number one. And secondly, in subsequent stages, your research protocol will be followed by future researchers. They will refer, we followed the protocol of research as published by or written by this and this. Right? And in that part, if you are doing literature review or literature-based research, you need to write how many literatures you have searched physically, which libraries you have visited, how many books you have recovered on this particular topic, what keywords you have used in search engines to retrieve electronic literature, how many you have scanned, sorted, rejected, and finally zeroed into how many total books and literatures. If you are doing a research in the area of anthropology, how you have selected, because you have set the objective. Now, how to meet the objective, how you have carried out the study. So, how many villages or towns you have selected? What are the criteria of selection of villages and towns and the people, their age range, sex? If you are working on the religion of a particular community, how you have selected the religious leaders? Who are the practitioners, the followers, uska age kya hai, sex kya hai, right? And how, if you are doing a quantitative study, how you have developed the schedule. If you are from psychology, if you are developing some inventories, questionnaires, scales, how you have collected it, why you are using this, how you have tested the reliability and confidentiality, each and every nuances. If you are doing interviews, where you have conducted the interview, how much time you have spent for the interview, right? Age range, क्या इंटरव्यू का टॉपिक में आपने डिस्कस किया, ये पूरा डिटेल्स सबको देना है, आपको देना है how you have collected information on household income, वो बहुत ही अधिक है, ऐसा नहीं. So these details are required and this can run down the pages. And finally, you have to write down, if you are doing any analysis, statistical analysis, how you have selected the variables, have you checked the distribution of the variables, what type of multivariate analysis you have undertaken, if you are doing qualitative interview, what type of softwares you have used for content analysis, thematic analysis, or you have simply narrated it. And finally, the duration of your research study, that is very important. ये बहुत पुराना तो नहीं है, because that is also important. And lastly, ethical clearance. All these points needs to be there. I'm telling you, we published one article in Women and Health, and Women and Health is a fascinating journal. Great Taylor Francisca. उसका editor in chief during that time was Ellen Gold. She was a biostatistician. Our paper got reviewed 9 times. Initial was 24 points, then came down to 19, then to 10, 15, last में 1-2 points. Why? Most of the comments was on materials and method. They want a very much clarity into it. Second time, when we published in the same journal 3 times. How come? It's not a magic. We picked up from that exercise that what this journal wants. So academic writing is an exercise, it's a long journey, as Professor Mishra has said, and it is a continuous journey. It's never ending. Result part. There are 2 types of result you are presenting. One is a quantitative result, another is a qualitative result. In many cases, in qualitative result, what the maximum candidates they do, participants, they do not cite the interview excerpts or the case studies. They simply write whatever they have found. Now it means that you are actually narrating a story without a basis. The interview excerpts should be there that will act as a data. For example, here, our interview, this is how we conducted the interview. I'll come here. Say for example, when we did the work on smoking of tobacco, our first question was, why one starts smoking? And we got multi-layered answer. So, किसी ने बताया ये. So what we made a general statement. What are the different perspectives that came up regarding smoking of tobacco? And we cited a couple of citations. That this person what he said, another person what he said, right? This way. But if you do not put this interview excerpts, that means you are diluting your data part. You have collected. So interview, case study, whatever you need to present the cases, the interview, the focus group discussion, this excerpt you need to take, and then you analyze. And if you are dealing with the tables, you see, look at the table. You see so many things we have. This is a style and art of preparing a table. Right? You see so many things we have given. Number one, these are the variables for which we have compared between rural and urban, for perimenopausal group, for postmenopausal also rural and urban. And we have also mentioned what type of statistics we have done. Figures and bracket parenthesis. Parenthesis means within bracket, those are the percentages. You must be thinking of such a big table must be having big description. But see the description. This is a short description. It's not a magic. What we didn't do here is we didn't refer that this percentage of people are literate, this percentage, because these are there in the table. Why? What's the point of repeating? Just talk about the trend in the result that you are doing. So when you are using tables, then do not reiterate the figures. Only mention the trend in the result that you got. Right? And that too in a very comprehensive way to make it understand. I will just stop quickly. Discussion. Discussion is the point where in the result you have described the result. जैसे हम कहेंगे this gentleman is from this particular university. She puts on a jeans trouser, a white colored shirt. She brushes his hair. She clean shaves this much. But I want to make a critical appraisal related to her dressing, his or her dressing pattern. See, for example, when I am in the result section, I am describing this hall. Number of ACs, number of windows, number of seats, number of tables, number of podiums. Then I will analyze that this is a hall which is meant for organizing big conferences, as well as sometimes the chairs can be removed to perform cultural programs or something. So what I am trying to say, result is the area where you are describing the findings. Discussion is a part where you are trying to make a critical appraisal. Why you got this result? And why you got this result? How you do it? Because in the introduction you have laid down the framework of your study, the theoretical framework or the policy framework. And you are now trying to put your result from that philosophical point of view. That is, you have the data now, you are framing that into that perspective, whether from gender perspective, policy perspective, whatever. Right? And you are comparing your result with earlier literature, how much you are contradicting or corroborating with that particular results. Clear? So discussion means it should be very crispy, it should be very focused, right? And it's not always that you have to discuss every point. There can be many points which is beyond the purview of your discussion. Or you do not have a ready-made answer to it. You have right. The researchers at the moment do not have answer to this. Future researchers should look into these issues. So all the results you don't have to defend. Some you may leave it. Nobody has compelled you to defend. And once you complete your discussion, try to find out the conclusion of your result. The problem is, many scholars, they write discussion 4 pages, conclusion 3 pages. It's not that. You are rolling the canvas gradually. Conclusion should be 1-liner, 2-liner, 4-liner. That means after telling all these things, you go back to your objective or hypothesis, what you have asked, and what is the conclusion of your study. That should be very precise, very crafted, so that people know that this was a question asked and this is the result. Don't forget to write the limitations of your study. Every research has a limitation. Limitation doesn't say that what you couldn't do, that's fine, but that is not the negative aspect. It gives a good test that people will know that what future researchers should keep in mind. That these are the limitations of the sample. Small sample size is a trivial, but try to cite some other that I should have collected this amount of data, or these libraries I should have consulted, like this, right? And finally, what is the future direction of your research? Your research, how much avenues your research is opening to the future researcher. Because your research is not the end. Your finding is opening 10 doors for future research. Give direction. Then it will be appreciated. Right? Acknowledgements, do acknowledge whoever have given you finding or other sources. Do not hesitate to finding on this. And finally, when you come to this response letter, first be very polite. The reviewer's comments have been closely, we have read the comments made by the reviewer very closely. We thank the reviewers for their thoughtful or insightful comments. we have tried to respond to all the comments to the best of the understanding made therein. That is, you are cleaning your hand. That उसमें जो लिखा है, जो समझ में आया, उसी को समझते हुए हम लोग ये रिस्पॉन्स. Then first comment one, उसका रिस्पॉन्स क्या है? आपने उसको एक्सेप्ट कर रहे हैं क्या नहीं? कर रहे हो तो कौन सा पार्ट आप एक्सेप्ट कर रहे हो और टेक्स्ट में कहाँ पे दिया है? So if you are not accepting, that is also fine. You have to say that I am not accepting. I am not accepting. You have to use a guarded language. That we actually wanted to read this, and these are the references. When you are not accepting, you have to cite more justification why you are not accepting. Okay, so this is all about. Thanks for your patience and your hearing. If time permits, thank you so much. If time permits, if you have any question, if you want to discuss, I am free now or during the lunch hours, as per the organizers. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, for so detailed analysis. I hope this has really gone to our research scholars and all of us. We could come to know many things, but in detail. And sir was also interested to stress this to another half. It is so energetic, sir. However, if any question very precisely, short question, one or two questions are may take. Anybody can, yeah, please go with you. It should be precise, very short. Should not be thesis. Basically, some people when ask questions, they.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir, for your excellent presentation. I have heard your presentation either in ISI or IDSK.
Okay.
Yes, I am.
IDSK.
It is right. Yes, IDSK. It was in 2017 actually. I am also from West Bengal. I am working as an assistant professor in geography. I have a question that is, it is my experience is that when we are sending a paper to multidisciplinary journals, I have worked in industrial geography. And when I am writing a paper that is in labor, they are sending actually my paper for reviewers to the economy. Okay. So economists have actually different perspectives and our perspective is totally different. And when the reviews are coming, then the economics are actually economic perspectives. But they are discussing that they are trying to, they are saying that they include the economic perspectives in my paper. Yes. Economic perspective, so many times it is rejected.
I know that. I told you that this is a different ballgame. So, madam, I would like to humbly submit to you that go through some other journals. Maybe your own disciplinary journals, geography-related journals, that might help. But also, in a covering letter to the editor, you have the prerogative to write to the editor that we have not seen this particular phenomenon from economic perspective.
Okay.
We just write. We want to highlight this. There is a space. If you are loading it on the portal, you have any additional information. Then the editor will also think alternatively whether they will send it.
Oh, thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Sumana. Yeah. Here, Dr. Madhurika.
So it was a very comprehensive presentation, included every aspect of paper publication. My question is related to, as an academic editor in a classroom journal, my client is finding out the right reviewer for a paper that I received as an academic. It's really some of them are like don't have time, some of them are still working, like sir, how to deal with it?
There are two ways. Many journals they say that they get back to us that they are not getting appropriate reviews. There are two ways. There are journals who respond in a couple of papers that they are not, well, I have submitted, they said that we are not getting appropriate reviews for this. That the reason they rejected. A couple of journals also asked that we are not getting reviewers, can you cite some potential reviewers? Now there can be a bias in it. Very bias in the sense that there are journals. There are some journals who ask for potential reviewers and some reviewers whom you don't want. It's not necessary that the editor will send the manuscript with those reviewers. It's not necessary. In that case, what you can do, you can ask for some potential reviewers. And this happens with me also. But somehow or the other you have to manage. And in that other cases, you can simply say that, well, we are not getting appropriate reviewers for this particular manuscript. But delay the manuscript so that the author gets an alternative chance to submit something. I mean, it's not your fault that you have to go away because the reviewers they are doing the voluntary job. You cannot compel them also to do it. This is my response to your question. But this happens. This is a very uphill task for the editors to find appropriate reviewers for a particular journal. Absolutely.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much. We are not taking any more question now.
Thank you,
sir. Because the next speaker will say now. Speak. So those who are having question, we can interact in the long session after the long break. After the long break, we can ask the question to sir. So now I would like to request our next speaker, Professor Rajiv Padi sir.
I must extend my heartfelt thanks to Professor Roy sir for taking such a wonderful session, such an engaging and such an enlightening session. And I can see, for the first time I saw sir when I was a postgraduate student, and after almost 27-30 years, I can see the same kind of energy, the same kind of spirit, the same kind of influence, the same style. So we are grateful to you, sir, and we are thankful to you. Thank you so much, sir, for delivering a lecture for more than 1 half an hour continuously. Thank you so much.
Thank you, ma'am. Now, may I invite Professor Rajiv Padi, Professor Department of Physics, and also Deputy Registrar, Sambalpur University. And I also request Mr. Govind Pradhan, PhD Scholar in Economics, to give a brief introduction of the speaker.
Good afternoon, everyone. It is my great pleasure to introduce Dr. Rajiv Padi, a distinguished professor at School of Physics, Sambalpur University, Odisha. With over more than 2 decades of teaching and research experience, Sir has made significant contribution to the field of material science, ferroelectrics, and nanoscience. Dr. Padi earned his PhD from Shiksha Anusandhan University, Bhubaneswar, and holds a master's degree in physics from prestigious NIT Rourkela, where he graduated with an impressive academic performance. His research has been widely recognized with 8 and over 1,300 citations across Scopus, Web of Science, and Google Scholar. Apart from his academic and research achievement, Dr. Padi has made actively involved in administrative roles at Sambalpur University, including serving as Director of IQAC, Deputy Registrar, and Registrar in Charge. He has also authored books and book chapters, contributed to digital content, developed and served as reviewer for 36 international journals. Dr. Padi's dedication to mentoring young scholars is commendable, having guided several PhD and MPhil students. His contributions to ferroelectrics properties, semiconductor device, and environmental application of advanced material continue to shape the field. We are honored to have him with us today, and I am sure his insights will be invaluable to our discussions. Thank you, sir. Over to you.
Is it audible or should I use this one? Aku bond kar dum video chalti hai. Okay. Thank you organizers for inviting me over here. It was nice listening to Professor Subha Roy. Who writes a thesis? Who is eligible for it? How do you become eligible? You have published papers. So half of my work has already been done by Professor Roy. He has already explained you how to write a thesis article. So if you know how to write an article, it would be much easier for you to write a thesis. And before going into this, I would share some of my experiences on writing an article, reviewing papers, ethical and unethical practices which I have come across, and to begin with, as sir said, during the young days when you start doing research, you think you are one of the biggest researcher. So when I submitted my article to one of the journals, of course the medical journal, the journal took 1.5 years to evaluate the article and finally rejected. But as we say, if there is an article, then there is a journal. If there is an article, then there is a journal. So I published the article in a much better journal in Elsevier, in a journal, since I belong to the Department of Physics. I published in a journal called Thesis Chemistry of Solids, which has a better impact factor. Of course, impact factor is a misnomer. I have published articles in much reputed journals, but till date, I have not been able to publish one article in one specific journal called Physica B, whose impact factor is, if I remember it correctly, 0.8 or something. Because the scope, the area is limited. Hardly 15 to 16% of articles submitted are accepted by the journals. So it becomes difficult. So don't go by specifically by the impact factor. Since being a reviewer, one of the unethical practices what I came across, a group of 3 or 4 persons worked on a particular article, they published it somewhere. Okay. I'll leave it. Am I audible? Yes. I don't need a mic to address a gathering of 300 people. Okay. So what happened is, out of the 3 or 4 persons, one of the person, he repeated the article, hardly 1 or 2 lines here and there, and he submitted to a particular journal. And for that journal, I was the reviewer. So when I looked at the article, I read it with interest. My always intention is, when I review an article, I give the candidate a chance to revise the article. So when I came across it, I read it, then I started finding out on the net what other articles this fellow has published, what work he has done. I usually do it. And I also check the references what the candidate has mentioned. Candidate has read it or given the reference, or sometimes what happens is you give a reference but that is not linked to that particular topic or is not even linked to that particular area of research also. So just copy paste. Okay. So I came across the previous article which was published by a group of 3 or 4 and he was one of the authors. Then I emailed the editor that this is the article already published. This fellow has simply removed all the authors and resubmitted the article hardly by changing one or two lines. Every paragraph, every graph, every table remains same. So this has to stop. This article needs to be rejected. And what also happens is if you are trying to publish, your articles will get rejected. Rejection is good. Rejection is good only when it has been reviewed by somebody. If the reviewers give specific comments, accept the comments, try to improve the article and resubmit somewhere else. 6-7 months back, one of my scholars' article was reviewed by 10 reviewers. I have seen my papers or others, my scholars' papers, they have been reviewed by 3-4 reviewers. But this particular article was reviewed by 10 reviewers. And finally the editor had to reject because 60% of the reviewers they agreed, 6 reviewers they agreed to this, but with some modification, 4 reviewers they didn't agree to the content because of their own reasons. They have marked out, they have listed out everything. So what was the catch of it? Or what was the takeaway from this? Takeaway was the takeaway was 10 reviewers reviewing an article, read out each and every comment and then try to modify your article as far as possible. We did it and published it somewhere else. The article got rejected from an Elsevier journal, Journal of Alloys and Compounds. We published it in Springer, Applied Physics A, Material Processing. So, therefore I say, you have to accept. If you disagree with the comments of the reviewer, then please be polite to write down to the editor that so this is the mistakes or these are the points what I am making and should I be given another chance. It is up to the editor. They may give you a chance, they may not give you a chance. But fighting with the editor will not help you out. The best thing is to accept the comments, modify your article, send it somewhere else. Okay? Change the receipt? Okay. So, the outline of my talk will be writing a thesis. What's expected from your thesis? Interaction with your supervisor. So you are writing an thesis, constant interaction with your supervisor is a must. Don't wait till the last, then let me complete the thesis. After 1 month, after 3 months, I will interact. That will not help you out. Each day, devote your time to writing some part of the thesis. And as far as possible, every alternate day, interact with your supervisor. So this is what I have written, this is what I have come across, this is the issue I am facing, right? So interaction is a must. So what are the motivation and the mechanics? What should I do? What should I do with my thesis? What should I present in my thesis? What's new I have done? The pre-submission, thesis defense and the defense mechanics. So pre-submission is basically that makes you eligible to submit your thesis. The research degree committee is there. Some universities name it as a doctoral scrutiny committee, whatever the name they give it. So you are supposed to present it before that committee that this is the research I have done. These are the findings I have got. These are the publications I have done. So as per the criteria fixed by the university, I meet the norms. So therefore now I am eligible, I may be allowed to submit the thesis. In front of the committee, you have to submit the rough draft of your thesis also, so that the committee goes through it and approves it. Once the committee approves it, then only you can go for the final submission of the thesis. Next. So this is the definition of thesis, the bookish definition of thesis, which says is a proposition that is maintained by an argument or a piece of writing involving original study of a subject. So whatever research you have done, for me, if you look at it, or for any one of you who's done a research, his research is based on a specific topic. I belong to the Department of Physics, but I don't have a degree in physics. I don't have a PhD degree in physics. I don't have a PhD degree in physics because physics is a very broad topic. It covers everything. My PhD degree is on the research topic on which I have done my work. So your certificate, when it reads out, when you get awarded, is written that he has successfully defended his thesis entitled this on this day and hence being awarded with the PhD. Now the contention is, once I get a PhD degree, how do I define the area? How will people know that this is physics, chemistry or biology? You are not going to show your certificate to the layman. You will be showing the certificate to a learned person. So they will understand it is a specific discipline or it is a multidisciplinary area. They will understand that. I work on material science, neither physics nor chemistry. It's both. So I can apply, wherever I apply, the person who is looking at my certificate is much learned than me. The interview panel, who's over in front of there, sitting in front of me, the vice chancellor, the registrar, they know that this is a multidisciplinary area. Okay. Next one. So, long and unstructured, it takes longer than what you think. I will complete my thesis in 1 month. Doesn't happen that way. Doesn't happen that way. You can give it a try. Discussions, corrections, the supervisor to read it once, twice, and you or the supervisor have to read it not only for the scientific part of it, the approach, the flow of the thesis, the language involved. As sir said, neither the articles or the thesis, we don't need the linguistic people, the flowery language is not required. To the point, plain, simple English. It's as if you are communicating with the person who is sitting in front of you. Cleanly, plain, simple English, put down whatever your thoughts are there, put down whatever results you have got, put it down in your thesis. Same is true for the article also. Next one. So what are the thesis consist of? The introduction, the literature review, the contents, whatever experiments you have done, data you have collected, then the result analysis, the conclusion, future work, the reference part, bibliography, and finally some appendices, the list of publication, the acknowledgement. Those are the things which differ from university to university. Next. Begin earlier than later. I will write my thesis. Let me complete this first. But don't decide on your own that I have done this, now I should be writing my thesis. You might collect the data, you might collect the references, you might read number of articles which you want to incorporate in your introduction or in your literature review or in the result analysis. After you have published the required number of articles as laid down by the university, then talk to your supervisor. Sir, this is what I have done, what needs to be done further. Don't just put up a question, sir, I am done with this, I should be writing my thesis and I will submit it and I will leave. The supervisor knows better than you what more is expected from you. What I have done personally, it's my personal view, the university guideline says 2 articles or 2 research papers in Scopus Index. Then the candidate is eligible. My limit says 4 articles. My rule says if you have 4 articles, Scopus Index publications, then you become eligible. The reason is very simple. You might think that 2 articles I have published, you can write on a thesis, fine. But mine is 4. So it takes a little bit longer for my scholars to complete their work. The reason is simple. Simple because wherever the thesis would be sent, wherever the thesis would be sent for valuation, the external examiners, they will read the thesis. Then at the end of it, they will look at the articles the candidate has published. If whatever content, chapter 1, 2, 3, whatever chapters you have, and nearly everything has been published in good reputed journals, then the number of comments that will be coming back for correction might be lesser. Because the peer-reviewed journals, they evaluate your thesis, they evaluate your articles, they give you comments. That part of evaluation has already been done. So if you have published 4 or 5 articles, it becomes much easier for the external examiner to review the thesis. And it is in the process of writing 4 or 5 articles, your approach to writing the thesis also becomes more structured. Because we are already in a habit of writing an article. So the thesis becomes more structured. So it becomes easier. So take that approach. To take that approach, little bit time may be required, but take that approach. Don't be in a hurry. The quality of work is of importance. The quality of work is of importance. Now, I will give you my example. Right? When I was being introduced, it was told that, which is of course true, don't worry on that. I did my PhD from Shiksha Anusandhan University, Bhubaneswar, private university. Right? But when I submitted my thesis, I already had 5 publications, Taylor Francis, Elsewhere and Springer as first author, and as co-author, I had another 5 or 6. So the quality of work and the quantity of work, that matters. If you go to IITs and NITs, they are also the research scholars, they work, they published in those journals wherever I have published. They may publish little bit better in better journals because of the facilities they have. But that doesn't undermine the quality of work what I have done. Now, once I have my PhD degree, the avenues open up. So I can ask my scholars to work on this area, and this area. Professor Roy will agree to it that we are called supervisors because we only supervise. This is the thing you have done. Check out this data, read why this has not happened, look at for few more articles which will try to corroborate your findings with some other articles, refer those articles, compare your result with few other articles. So these are the only supervision. And it is the student who makes the guide the better. It is the hard work of the scholars. We reap the reward. We also do work. That's not that we don't do any work. We also do it. But scholars are there because of whom we are there. Okay. So, next one. Back. Backwards. State your contributions explicitly. Don't make the examiners infer what's new or good in your thesis. The examiner should not read the entire thing, make it in bullet points. This is good. This is the finding I have got. I have compared the result with this. This is good because of this. This is bad because of this. So these findings have to be precisely given. Don't put up the things such a way that at the end the examiner has to find out what was good in this thesis, what is bad in this thesis, what's new in this thesis. So don't do it that way. State your contributions in introduction and conclusion. And this and is because of in each chapter you have to give your what is the conclusion of each chapter, what is the contribution of each chapter. Be obvious, as Sir said, Sir has already described in article writing, headings, subheadings. So these are also have to be maintained during your thesis writing. So therefore I said, once you get into the groove of writing an article, it becomes much easier when you are writing your thesis. Next. Demonstrate the knowledge of the field. Include background material. Explain your methods. So one of the articles or one of the journals what I was talking of, 20-25 points on methods. So methods are more important. What you have done precisely, your data, what you have submitted, should be reproducible. I have done an experiment. So the technique of the experiment has to be explained in detail. So if somebody else can reproduce the same thing, the result may be good or bad. That's a different thing. Right? Good results should be published. bad results should definitely be published. Why?
So that no replication.
There is no replication, somebody will not waste his or her time working on that. Or somebody will try to modify it, somebody will try to do it in a better manner. So,
Sir, there are journals of negative result. Right? There are journals for negative result, which encourages publishing negative results so that people do not waste time and money.
so therefore I say, if work is, if you think the results are bad, you should publish it. But how do you get that published? Results are bad, na? Find the reason for it. Why they are bad? What happened? Right? So you have to justify that this result is bad, this result is worthless. You have to justify that. Okay. So in the background, evaluate when you are doing the introduction part, when you are trying to write down the literature review, don't make it as Sir was putting. He has done this, written in this article, has found out this result. No. If he has done this, what improvement was done on this by somebody else, why it is the improved part, so just, and what you have done to it, so those parts has to be sequentially maintained. Just don't describe whatever, or other, many of the literature reviews goes, they copy paste the abstracts. They copy paste the abstracts. Rajiv and et al. Worked on this copy paste. Professor Roy and et al. Worked on this copy paste. So don't do it that way. Right? So it has to be a gradual approach. Is little bit of what somebody else has done, what different the next person has done, why it is different. Then the next person has worked on this, why he worked on this, how better his or her result is in comparison to the previous one. So it has to be a little bit of narrative. So when you are writing down your literature review, try to write it as far as possible, not 100%, as far as possible this way, and in order of, in the descending order of years. The oldest one first, and then the latest one till the time you are writing your thesis, or till the time you started working on this subject or area of research. So you can, at the end of the literature review, you should justify why you have worked on this. You should be able to justify why you have worked on this particular topic. Now, because of these things involved, because of the importance of this, because of I didn't find any work has been done on this, so I chose this topic, and hence I am working on this. So this conclusion has to be there. And in the introduction part, this is the end of it. Below it would be the small, you can say, is a slight description of each and every chapter of your thesis. The first chapter is introduction, literature review. The second chapter deals with this. The third chapter deals with this. 2-3 lines maximum. Okay. Next one. Clarity and organization matters. Don't make it too much unstructured. At the beginning I told you unstructured writing. So there is unstructured for your reference. Keep the writing. Don't directly put it in a thesis. Keep the writing somewhere. Unstructured way. Fine. But when you are trying to bring it to your thesis, you can directly bring it, little bit edit it, and try to fit it in a structured manner. Define the terminology involved and be consistent with the notation. Define the terminology. For example, we deal with, I am a materialist, so let's talk about one material, bismuth ferrite. Chemical formula is BiFeO3. Salt BFO. So you define from the beginning that bismuth ferrite would be written as what? BFO or BiFeO3. What do you want to do? We generally write down room temperature data is this. So room temperature, room temperature, room temperature. In short, we write down RT. So once you begin writing down room temperature as RT, everywhere you keep on writing down as RTI. Somewhere you write down RT, then you write down room temperature. Somewhere you write down bismuth ferrite, then you write down BFO. Somewhere you write down BiFeO3. That should not. Once you define, think of, define it and maintain that. That's what you all do it in your articles also. So if you are trying to abbreviate a term anywhere in article, they ask you to define it first and maintain it throughout. As sir was putting it, every journal has their own policies. Abstract, length, the paper length, there is one particular journal, material letters, 4 pages. 5 graphs or 4 graphs, 1 table. They define it. Some journals, if you give an article of which is around 20 pages long, they will ask you, can you make the article short? And if you are not able to do it, then you can cut out some part of it and you can submit it as a additional, we call it as additional information, right? There will be a Word file or PDF file, you can submit it somewhere. But the link of it would be given in the article. So once you click it, that will be automatically open. The journal space is important. There are 2 ways of publishing an article. Either you pay for the publishing the article or you transfer the copyright. You transfer the copyright of your article to the publishing house so that they host it on the website. You get a PDF copy. Job done. Right? But in thesis, there is no word limit. But there have been thesis, I have seen thesis, especially, don't take it otherwise, especially those theses which hardly contain any good material are of bigger volume. How do I do it? Triple size the word spacing, paragraph spacing, one side printing only. The thesis becomes the volume of this 400 pages. But at the end of it, when you look at it, they would be hardly publishing any good journals. Sambalpur University doesn't also follow a good structured manner of thesis. I will show you. My 2 scholars, the front page are different. But it should not be. When you try to build a brand of your university, you have to define how the cover page should look like. Because at the end of when the thesis is awarded, one of the copy goes to the library for future reference of the candidates or whosoever. So in the library, one section is for PhD thesis. So there what you can do is, you can put the thesis of, it can belong to any departments, but the thesis should look the same. The front page, the color, the writing on it, and it is better you do it. That way the university brand will build. You can define on the number of pages. If it is 100 pages or 150 pages, you can have single side thesis. Or you can define, if it is more than 150, then the candidate may be allowed to print on both sides. The volume of thesis will never matter. These days, the theses are sent to the examiner, soft copy, PDF copy is sent. But if an examiner is not comfortable in having the PDF read, so what he will ask is, please send me a hard copy. So just think of a thesis of this size and a thesis of this volume, both to be sent. So you are unnecessarily spending on the postage. So don't do it. Right? So both side printing is better. Fix the paragraph spacing, fix the line spacing, fix the font size. That will give all the thesis a good look. And don't ask, this is my suggestion will be there to the administration, don't ask for a hardbound thesis from the beginning. It can be softbound, as if a book is there. The cover page of the book is very thin, so you can have that. For hardbound, if you really want the final thesis, which has to be submitted after the defense for the library, that you can do it. Soft bound, make it a point that you define what is the font size should look like, what is the font size of the title, the name, what size of the logo should be there, what you want on the back side, what you want on the side of the thesis, the edge of the thesis. So when you keep it in the racks of the library, the year, the author and the title and the branch, that is or the department, that is C. So keep it just a uniform way. Okay. Next one. What examiners like to see whenever thesis goes to somewhere? So what the examiner likes to see? Focus on interesting or important problems, groundbreaking theories, methods and results, publications, of course in high-quality journals, clear openings for future work. So these are the work I have done, I have completed my work, I have submitted my thesis, but these are the avenues on which I can work in the future. Well-written, well-designed, reproducible experiments. So if you are involved in experiments, each experiment should be reproducible. It should not be that once I work on particular material, the next time I try to prepare that, I will get some other result. That means the data is not reliable. Experiments also should be repeated. If I am taking a data of a particular sample with increasing temperature, at least I should repeat the experiment the next time with the same sample. At least once. Some journals they ask, you have taken the data with increasing temperature, not do it for decreasing temperature also. They might ask, and I have come across that. That gives the reproducibility of the data what you have achieved. So experiments should be definitely reproduced. Methods should be reproducible. And the quality of this is logical presentation of data and arguments. I have achieved this. The table, what I have given, the table of data what I have given, You simply go on describing this, that. That doesn't work. The examiner will look at the highlight points and what different is there in the table. What the point you are trying to highlight. So that part you concentrate. Next. What examiners don't like this. Okay. Uninteresting, unimportant problem. The same work has been done by somebody else. You can also do the same work. But what different you have done? What extra you have got? That has to be compared, that has to be described. But if you do the same thing, nobody will be interested in reading the same thing. Poor reasoning, badly designed experiments, with missing controls, insufficient analysis. You present a data telling that for this sample the graph looks like this and you don't describe it properly. The curve went like this. Why it went like this? What do you infer out of this? That has to be described. What then not only repeats or confirms well-established findings. So when you work, again I am telling you, the work what you have done should be reproducible. Sloppy presentation of graphs and illustration. References are missing, incorrectly given. I told you I generally check the references what were given by the candidate in the article. Whatever reference is given, has the article, I will go to that article which has been referred. I will see that here the candidate has referred this article. So is it worthy that this which has been referred to should be there? You will sometimes find out a reference is given, but nothing is mentioned about that in this paper. The paper deals with something else. So reference, if you read the article, then give the reference. Don't believe on somebody else that he has referred this article, so therefore I have given it. No. He had read this article, try to find that article. Try to find that article. Sci-Hub is there, free of cost. And thanks to the government of India, one nation, one subscription. I don't know the MMU is having access to that or not. So, one nation, one subscription. So thousands of journals, thousands of articles are there. You can access it. One nation, one subscription. Are you aware of this? Yes, sir. If you don't find recent articles, try Sci-Hub, SCIHUB.
If you go to the it's a real the GE also. And now you can find access to IITs.
Which one? One nation, one subscription. Under one nation, one subscription, as far as information I have, there are 3,000 publishing houses, 13,000 journals. Some journals may not be there. Right? So it will be the best person to help you out would be your librarian. That the journal being accessed or not. Right? And if you are looking for specific areas of thesis, you go by the initiative taken by Government of India, Srot Ganga. Go to Srot Ganga. 5,90,000 theses are available. Indian theses are available. choose the area. You can download the thesis, read the thesis. If you are working on one particular area, then who are the people who have worked on similar areas? Articles you can find out. Thesis also is available. Surah Ganga, free of cost. And last, grammatical and typing errors. So be patientfully lead. If you sometimes it happens that whatever I write, I don't find my mistake in myself for my writing. Ask somebody else, please help me out. That's what we call as a thesis buddy. If you are working in a group, that's more helpful. Right? Thesis buddy. Ask the thesis buddy, please help me. Just read this. Find some grammatical mistakes in there. Find whatever I have written makes sense or not. You can do that. Next. So this part I have talked about, but introduction to the problem. What is the motivation why you are working on this? Outline your thesis or hypothesis. Outline your hypothesis that this is what I am working on. Why should I work on this? State any important assumptions. Summarize your results. Okay. Next. The background material should be a clear point and only as much detail as needed to make a point. And the last one you see, don't tear down others' work. What he has done, this is wrong or right, don't comment on that. If you find somebody's work is not worthy, don't refer to. Leave it. Find some articles which are worthy. And somebody has worked on this, I am working on this. This is the difference. So that's what we will be presenting. The data which he or she has got in this article, at this temperature or pressure, my data is either good or bad. Give the reference and then describe why it is good or bad. Right? Okay. Content chapters may include additional background. This, I will tell you that there are two different approaches. I am a physicist, my scholars, they work on material science. So there is two ways of it. I have some of my scholars, they work on one particular material with some other materials added to it. Let's say 10 materials and all 10 of them, one particular or two particular materials are continuously added to it, or the concentration is changed or increase or decrease. So what you can do is, you can stack up all the experiments what you have done for that particular 10 samples in one place and you can describe everything. But some other student, what he will do is 4 or 5 samples for one series, another 4 or 5 samples for another series, 4 or 5 samples for another series. 2 or 3 series of samples yesterday. It may not be possible for every series to do the same experiment. You may not have the access to it. Some materials will be behaving differently. So that 1, 2 or 3 series will contribute to 3 chapters. You can separate it out. Okay. Next one. Summarize the main results and conclusion. When I am trying to, as I was talking about 4 pages of hypothesis and results and 3 pages of conclusion. That will not work. Conclusion has to be specific. At the end, when you go to the evaluation process and the external examiner will ask you, what is the takeaway of your thesis? What is the most important thing you find out from your research work? What is the USP of your thesis? USP stands for unique selling point. Right? So in your conclusion, be brief and if possible, try to make a table that this material or this thing, and since I am materialist, I am talking on the materials only. So since this material has this property, can be used somewhere. That somewhere I have to mention. So make a table, comparative, right? So the conclusion is okay. Somebody looks at this, okay. Here worked on this. This is the good thing, and why it is good. Summary, as brief as possible. Okay, and discuss any limitations. As I told you, not every experiment is possible for. I don't have access to every experiment. Experiment setups are costly. It took Sambalpur University approximately 57 years to establish a central research facility. Myself, there is one faculty from Hirok, from chemistry department. Hirok is there, Hirok Chakraborty is there, and 2-3 people are there who fought against the administration. We tried to build a central instrument facility. Building is there. As a first step, around 3.2 crores was given to us. We purchased some equipment. We don't have a central facility. Just established in the month of September. Slowly we are trying to build it. So that central facility caters to the needs to everyone. Anybody who comes up. Be the student, be the teacher, nearby college, nearby university. Of course, everything is paid basis. Marginal fees, because there are consumables involved, there are people involved, so that part has to be taken care. If you give anything in free, it is not working. I will tell you one example. There are few exams where an undergraduate or a postgraduate people can apply for jobs. The exams are conducted free of cost. The government takes the pain in arranging the exam. So as a center student, I have seen 50% turnout, 40% turnout, 30% turnout. Because I have not paid for it. I have not filled up the form by paying some amount. So form was free. So anything which is free, you don't care about it. Okay, next. So, when you begin with to write down your thesis, I am coming to this at the end. Make an outline. These are the chapters I will divide my thesis into. This chapter will contain these things. Then have a discussion with the supervisor. So this is what I have thought of. Right? Make an outline that includes the main points. Okay. Discuss with supervisor before you start filling the text. Next. How supervisor can help? Read the first line. Thesis is your responsibility, not the supervisor's responsibility. The thesis is the responsibility of the scholar. But your supervisor has more experience and can help you. Don't ignore the advice of the supervisor. Ultimately, you will need to defend the thesis. When the external examiner asks the questions, it is you who are standing over here and facing the questions. The supervisor will not tell you once or while one or two things he can tell you, here I'm missing this, do this, tell me this. That part can be done. But 90% of the volumes you have to face. So you should know what you have worked on, what is there in the thesis, which page, what I have written. If you have done your work, it will automatically be there in the brain. Right? Write something every day. Spend some time on writing your thesis every day. Right? Do it first before you check your email and Facebook. Because these days social media is more important. So that can wait. But do your work first. Okay. Turn off the internet. This is for the Instagram, Facebook and WhatsApp. Because every time the WhatsApp message comes up, you get distracted. So leave it. Nothing on the earth will fall. So if you switch off the internet for some time. Okay. Write first, edit later. Whatever, therefore, unstructured part of writing can be somewhere else. When you bring it to the thesis, it should be edited and structured. And find a thesis buddy. If you are, the thesis buddy can be anyone. Your parents can be also there. Right? Ask them, this I have written. Please see if it makes sense. Right? Okay. Talk to your supervisor. Regular interaction. Don't run away. If the supervisor tells you, what you have written this, go and bring it. Rewrite this. You don't feel doing that. You run away. Hide from the supervisor for 5-6 days. That will not help. That will not help. Don't wait until you have something to show. I will write 2 chapters, then I will show you. Don't do that. At least every alternate day, so this is what I have done in 2 days' time. Just kindly overlook it. 2 minutes or 3 minutes will be more than enough. In 2 days' time, you will not be able to write more than 5-6 pages. So the supervisor also will need hardly 5-6 minutes or maximum 10 minutes to overlap to overlook through that 5-6 pages. So therefore don't wait. I will complete 2 chapters or 1 chapter, then I will come back to the supervisor. By the time the supervisor will be busy with something else. This will be pending for another 5 days. Consider setting shorter and more specific deadlines together. I will complete this chapter in 1 month time. Don't do that way. I will complete 2 pages today. I will complete 3 pages by the next day. So make the duration short and your writing also should be a smaller volume. In 1 month I will complete this introduction. Don't do it that way. Okay. Next. Editing. Read thorough entire chapter. The thesis. Have I defined the terms before using them? Is my notation and terminology consistent what I have told you earlier? Is my argument clearly structured? So these are the results I have got. Why I have got this result? Have I compared it with others? Have I given the reference? Structured manner. Is it clear what point of each section is and how fits into the rest of the chapter thesis? So you can put up a lot more sections. One chapter doesn't have any link with the other chapter. Is it happening that way? It should not be. Right? As sir told you, a thesis or an article should be a story. You begin with the hypothesis or begin with an experiment, and what you have got this, I have got this, I have compared result with this, and this is the final conclusion. So somebody would be interested in reading that. Are cross references correct? Are bibliographic entries complete and correct? Ask a friend for proofreading. Correct? Next one. Good scientific writing. Choice of methods should be clearly justified. Why you have chosen this method? Justify it. Claims should be supported by evidence. I claim this. This is what I have got. What is the evidence of this? Why do you say this is correct? Okay. Next. How much detail your work should be reproduced to me? That's always true. Conference paper often, suppose you have gone to some conference and you are trying to put that in your thesis. So conference paper are hardly complete. You might leave out some experiments. So don't do it that way. Don't unnecessarily include every experiment. It's not possible also. I have done, one of my present scholar, she worked out on one particular material, and we had access to the transmission electron microscopy for only 2 samples. We didn't have access to the rest 14 samples. So I need not try and do, because time is costlier, it's quite costlier doing the experiment. So I need not try and do the same experiment for all the samples. So for one given chapter I have done this, I have included other chapters I can give it. I will not include that experiment. Sometimes it is done on the advice of the reviewer, you are required to do few more experiments. You can take it or you can leave it. One of my scholars, he was asked to do a particular experiment which is available only at Indore, the UGCDA consortium at Indore, but it takes a lot of time. Because the queue is larger, it takes a lot of time, 4 to 5 months. And there was another experiment asked by the reviewer, please do this experiment. It was done at IIT Madras. We sent the sample and within 1 week we got the result. So we wrote to the reviewer that this experiment we don't have access to and it takes a lot of time. However, we have included this experiment. But those experiments were not intended on our part to do and include in the thesis. So therefore it says, you may not include every experiment. So don't put unnecessary writing or information. Just for the sake of writing, this happened, that happened, don't do it that way. It should be structured manner. So please don't put unnecessary information. Okay. Be concise. Next. Plagiarism. If you have access to it, either authenticate or quarantine before you submit an article, check the plagiarism. For thesis, you can also check the plagiarism. Generally allowed, generally different universities have different plagiarism percentage they allow, but for articles, one whose article is having a plagiarism less than 20% is acceptable. Less than 20. So that article you will submit somewhere before the peer review process. They do check it, and if it is within the 20, then the article goes for reviewing process. Otherwise, they will throw it out. The same is Sambalpur University earlier it had the plagiarism was 20%. Now they have reduced it to 15%. So, at the end of thesis, at the last page, you have to put the plagiarism report also. Right? You have to give, when you give the references or citation, you have to mention it. Right? So, whatever you write down from wherever you collect it, try to change the language properly. Even if you change the language, do acknowledge it by giving the reference. Right? It is better to be over generous than risk acquisition of plagiarism. Over generous means you can give the references. Right? For example, I don't like sir, but I like his work. Because I don't like him, so I will not give his reference. So then I will invite plagiarism. I may have different ideologies. There is no harm in giving a reference. Then be over generous, no issue. But don't fall in the trap of plagiarism. Next. The normal text. Something is written. Somebody will try to don't go specific by the words what is there. Right? Next. If you cut and paste from a source, it's plagiarism. Unless you include the quotation marks or attribution. Directly copy and paste, so include the quote. Right? Next. Changing the odd word here and there, or changing the word order without quotation and attribution is also plagiarism. Next. Cut and paste is not plagiarism. If you include the material in quotes, specifically put quotes and provide reference. Quote is also there and reference also be there. Then cannot be plagiarism. Okay? But too many direct quotations make your material difficult to read. Next. It is not plagiarism if you phrase the material as long as you include a citation for the original source. So if you try to rephrase the sentence, you can definitely do it, but the sense should be there, the meaning what you are trying to communicate, that should be there, but at the end of it, definitely give the reference. Next. When you are using web sources and figures, if referring to a web page, you must include the URL and access date. When you access it, if possible, take a PDF of it and save it somewhere. Because web page they will change, they will delete it. Right? Be careful with inserting figures from published material. If you are trying to get from a published material, trying to get a figure or a table, then you should have the copyright permission from that. How to get it? If you are looking at the article, the corresponding author is mentioned, the corresponding mail ID is mentioned, the corresponding author's mail ID is mentioned. Mail it to him. Get the permission. Or if he doesn't have the copyright, mail it to the journal. They will give the permission. Okay. On both topics, we seek the advice of supervisor. If the supervisor doesn't advise you properly, and if your self says this is not correct, please don't do it. Try to find some other way or leave that path. Do it something else. Next. Bibliography. Many universities follow different methods. Some universities they write down the references at the end of every chapter. Some they write down at the end. I prefer it at the end. So the numbering which starts from the introduction should end with the conclusion. Keep the serial number constant. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Suppose if you end the first chapter, the reference is let's say 57. In the second chapter, the reference number can start from 58. If you are referencing the first one, reference number 1, in the second chapter, you can put the number 1. You need not have another number for the same reference. Right? So this would be more clear when you submit articles, when your articles will be accepted, it will be more helpful. Next. The PhD thesis defense. So what is it? It's like a long talk in a small conference. Ideally, the examiner they will ask you to speak for 45 minutes, 1 hour. And how many people are listening to that? The number is limited. So therefore a long talk in a small conference. But lots of questions would be there. Some possible goals of defense are to make sure you did it. Whatever you are presenting, whatever this is presenting, the work has been done by you. Make sure you have done it. Make sure you understand what you did, what you have done. Make sure you understand the significance and the context of what you did. So that's what will help you in answering the questions thrown at you. Prove the general understanding of the field of the thesis. So you should have an overall idea of the entire thesis area. Next one. What happens in a viva? Varies a lot depending upon the examiner. How the examiner starts interacting with you, it depends. As I told you, most examiners they ask you to speak for 45 minutes and at the end they throw the questions. Usual trend. My own thesis defense was a little bit different. This was what told to me. This was what told to the examiner. After the second slide, the examiner put up a question. Can I ask a question in the middle? What should you tell? Okay, sir. So as the slides continued, he popped up questions. So I answered it. Right? So the point I am making is most candidates, so when question is put up in the middle, the flow is disrupted. The flow is disrupted. So people get nervous. Nothing will happen. Be cool. Be cool. Because you have read, because you have understood things, because you have done it on your own, you will be easily able to answer it. Take a pause for 1 or 2 minutes, listen to the question, answer the question, then, sir, shall I go forward? Okay. So that small break will allow you to take your breath back. Again move forward. So therefore it says there is a lot depending upon the examiner. And certainly not what you expected. You might expect these questions, the examiner might ask 1 or 2 questions. So what you expect, it will be going that way, cannot be. So use it to your advantage, relax, have a conversation. If you don't understand, ask for a clarification. There are few questions that are thrown to me, I didn't have the answer to it. Be humble, sir, I don't know on this. I am unaware of this. Then the next question will be, have you not done this? Sir, I have done this, but this part I am not sure. So the examiner is here to evaluate what you have known, what you have presented in your thesis. So it's more of clear what you are. So it is up to you to present it in a better manner. If 10 questions are thrown to you, you need not answer all questions. 7, 8 would be more than enough. 2, 3 questions here and there. If it is the other way, that is a different thing. You answer 2, 3, you are not able to answer 7, 8, that is a different thing. If that happens, then you are least prepared for defending your thesis. If you don't have a habit of speaking in front of a gathering, then try it, practice it before you are ready to submit your thesis. Before the pre-submission, practice it in front of your batchmates. Right? Next. Some questions to be prepared for. What is general 3 questions I have given? What is your thesis all about? What is the main point? What is or are the most important results? What is the limitation of your work? What is the next thing you will be doing? Sir, I have worked on this material. This is prospect on this. But I have missed out doing these experiments, so I will work out on this in future. Next. At the end of the examination process, nearly all candidates get a golden handshake, what I call is a transfer of power from a PhD holder to another PhD holder. But of course, after completing the corrections and modifications required by the examiners. So this should be done. So this was the final one. And thank you. And if you have any questions, then I will be glad to take. Okay. Before I go into it, I will show you something. Close this slide. Go back to the top. Talk for Google. Just for your information, there is something called as the abstract of thesis. Some people they call it as a synopsis of thesis. This is a small thesis, 10 pages.
Or executive summary.
Executive summary of this, 10 pages, 12 pages, more than enough. Few references, few results, some portion of the introduction. If your thesis is, let's say, 100 pages or 200 pages, try to have this abstract of thesis in 10, 12 pages or maximum 15 pages. This would be what said to the examiner first. The examiner will read it. Okay, so I am comfortable with this area of research. I will be willing, or I am willing to evaluate the thesis. Then the final thesis will be sent. So this is a summary of your work. Next, combined one is open. See, I told you, Sambalpur University doesn't have a structure for this is red color. The next one will be blue color. Oh yeah.
In Calcutta, interestingly, the candidate cannot now refer the name of the supervisor, either the supervisor.
In the front page.
In the front page, but not even in acknowledgement.
Okay.
I mean, under the supervision of.
Come, I will come to that. Next. This one is red. total. No, same file, scroll down. This one is blue. Right? So this is what should not be. The next one is this black. Now, look at but the writing is in golden. Right? Here the guide name is not there. And this is from Shiksha Anusandhan University, my first student. All their thesis, the cover page, the inner content, the chapter can be different, but the structure is same for all. Right? Next. This is when you open the thesis, this is the front page where the name of the supervisors, that they can be displayed over there. Some they give the certificate that this candidate has worked on this topic under my guidance. Next. Some students will put this one also dedicated to my page. So where to put, what to put, that is up to the administration. They have to decide the structure. Next.
This is again contested somewhere. You cannot dedicate a thesis. You can acknowledge. Dedicate a book, but thesis cannot be.
Okay. Next. Chalo, school chalo. The declaration given by the student that this is plagiarism, this is the area work I have worked out, written by me, original work, this is the percentage of plagiarism, right? Next. Then this is also the abstract of this is 1-2 pages maximum. Then acknowledgement, some universities they put the acknowledgement at the front, in the bill page, some put it at the end. So it's up to you how you decide it. Next. Then the content, list of figures, list of tables, abbreviations, whatever you do. Okay? Close this. So then the next one. Scroll down to scroll down to 200, around 200. So these are the end of the thesis, once the conclusion and all that. The conclusion, and the bibliography, everything is done. Then comes the list of publications. Some universities they allow it at the front, at the beginning of the chapter. Okay, the list of publications, scroll down. And the seminars the scholar has attended. So this can be also put there. Next. This particular candidate, he published 7 research articles for his thesis. Then some universities they ask the print of the articles, the first 1 or 2 pages of the articles. So that can also be inserted into the thesis. Chalo. So this is a PDF copy. I have included the entire article. Okay. Now this is the plagiarism report of the entire thesis, right? I have included 4-5 pages of it. So the date of submission is the date on which the thesis was checked for plagiarism, right? And the submission ID is 1 pound. And this is 16%. So the librarian has to give the clearance that the thesis which was checked for plagiarism is the percentage, and if it is within the limit. From University earlier it was 20%, so this fellow is having 16%, so he is allowed to submit his thesis. Now we have reduced it to 15%. Right? So that will be all. Thank you. So any questions, I will be glad to answer this. Please.
Thank you so much, Professor Padi, for this very elaborate presentation on thesis writing. And Professor Padi has just very minute points, isn't it? Very minute points. And it was just a flashback for me. One of my scholarly days, when my supervisor, Professor Behra, was also telling very minute things. So thank you so much, sir, for discussing in a very elaborate way, starting from writing a thesis to how to face the higher voice. So really, I'm grateful to you. And Professor Padi has reached, a much research excellence at a very young age. His H index is 21. He has 1,300 citations. So we must learn from sir how to reach this point of higher practice.
Thank you, ma'am. Those who are having questions will be having question answer session after the launch. And all are requested to go for launch to the canteen. But if before that, as for the thing, formality, I would like to request Bhaibeshri Patro, PhD scholar, Department of Anthropology, to offer vote of thanks. Very excited. And we will take a photograph of the first session after this vote of thanks.
afternoon to Honorable Vice Chancellor in charge of Manchester University, Deputy Registrar Sir, and esteemed Convener and Head of Department Sir Rajvisa Mahana Sir, and to all respected teachers. Myself, Rakesh Bagro, PhD student of the Department of Anthropology. It is my privilege to stand before you to express my heartfelt gratitude for such wonderful learning, which provided us with a deeper understanding the art of academic writing and publishing, exploring the correct ways to structure out a good thesis and a research paper. First and foremost, I extend my sincere thanks to our esteemed dignitary, guest of honor, Professor Roy Sir, for providing us with an in-depth, incredible learning on how to overcome the challenges we face during a research paper release, and a clear thought of choosing right or good journals for public research. For next, I put forth my wholehearted gratitude to esteemed intellectual guest of honor, Professor Rajiv Padi Sir, for sharing such a wonderful learning and motivation on the art of formulating a good thesis. We are really thankful to such an enriched session by such incredible research persons. Now, together we are moving forward with the spirit of dialogue. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Hemisy, for the comments. Please, for to say something, please.